My name is
Let's try again. Good evening, everybody. At least I remembered. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Asylum podcast, episode number 5. Yes, it's going well so far. I'm just about sure, yeah. So yes, finally I'm back and hosting, which is nice. It's been a while. I had a little bit of upheaval at home. We've had to do with the missus and the wife and everything else, but we've had some good news today. Yeah, I've got 2. But we had some good results today, so she's all clear. And so yeah, I'm really pleased. Getting drunk, celebrating all that, so that's all good. So hopefully, hopefully things are all good. Other than that, for those of you that are watching on YouTube when this goes out, just doing a bit of admin notices. We are going to be putting the podcasts, or have been putting the podcasts up on the Asylum YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on mine or Madness's channel, please head over to the YouTube channel for Asylum and give us a follow over there. Anything else? Oh yeah, and thank you to those guys that have already given us patronage on Patreon. We've just started that up to help support the podcast. So if anyone else is interested, you can do ! support or ! patron in chat and help us out. But it's obviously not required. It's just grateful to you guys that have.
It is required.
Well, it is required. Yeah. Stop watching. It's required. No, I'm just kidding.
If you don't pledge, you can't watch.
You can't pledge. You can't watch. we just literally, if we can tell who's not, and we'll just basically just go.
Yeah.
Kick you out. That's it. So,
we're waiting to see if anyone turns up here that is actually. So then we will actually start talking. So we'll just be quiet for the next few minutes.
So I think that's all the admin stuff out the way. So let's get started. So this week, we're joined with the usual little bit of madness.
Hello.
The regular guest that we always have, a SupermacbrothersRyan.
You sure he's regular? He may as well pretty much.
He's becoming very regular at the moment. Yeah.
Kind of like the furniture.
He keeps turning up at the door. We kind of like.
I'm like, are you sure you don't need anyone? Can you please just let me in again? They're like, for fuck no. And then
all
they're
right
like,
then.
Go on then.
Go on then, Matt.
And last but not least, the special guest, the first time on our podcast, hopefully not the last, and depends how much JD he drinks.
And hopefully
Mr. TheCrayRaydon. Welcome, sir.
Hello, how is it doing? How are you doing? Thanks for having me on board and all that kind of
Your
stuff.
poster's fallen down.
Poster up. Yeah, I know it has. Again.
So everybody in chat, when you see Cray's poster fall down, just let him know. We're going to troll him all day. Just, your poster's falling down.
Well, that'd be interesting because I can't even see chat right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we can.
We'll tell you. We'll
thanks. You're just going to troll me for the night. Cheers.
So,
maybe.
So, how are you all doing this week? All good?
Really good, yeah.
Excellent, good.
Very
There's
good. Very
been
good week.
a shit ton of info once again from StarCitizen.
Hell yeah, there was some good stuff as well.
We had like a long period of absolutely nothing. And Madness and I are like scraping at the barrel for something to talk about. And now it's like we're spending hours trawling through the videos and everything, going, right, we gotta make this up on the document. So yeah, it's good. It's good to have more information. It's nice to finally get to see.
Dry mode. Wasn't there a dry mode just before Christmas, before all the hype started?
Yes,
wasn't it?
yeah, there was.
Yeah,
it was. We're literally all like you say, scraping the barrel. Like we need something.
You say dryness.
I mean, we still managed to
what
find
I know
stuff
is
to talk
dry
about.
Oh, we did.
Still managed to find stuff to talk about. We did some long shows considering there was like there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Shall I show him this famous thing that keeps falling down? Look.
What is it, Craig?
It's from a new game that's coming out in March. There you go.
Have you got that glue tacked to the wall?
I did. It fell down again, so.
Get a nail.
He's not allowed to, supposedly.
I'm not allowed to put nails in the
okay.
walls. Yes.
What you could do is you could just hold it, just hold it here.
Really?
Hold it, just hold it.
For the whole
That's
stream.
what I suggested. He didn't seem keen on that.
Yeah, never mind.
Is the
yes,
question
so-
form open, by the way?
Oh, hang on.
Question.
Just check.
Exclamation question.
So exclamation mark Q, exclamation mark question, exclamation mark whatever the hell you like.
Well,
it's just
no,
question,
no.
I think. Don't do questions.
Whatever the hell I like.
No, there
doesn't
it
work,
goes.
does it?
No, it did work.
No, I typed question.
So it worked.
Can't get the staff.
If it's open, you should be able to go and submit some questions.
Yes,
so throughout
it's
the
open. It's
broadcast,
open.
if you put some questions on there, we will answer them towards the end. We'll try not to go on too
Maybe.
long. Maybe.
Maybe if we get some.
Pendulum
Yeah.
questions.
Okay, so the first section we're going to go on to is our usual Reddit roundup that Madness likes to dig into the salt mine that is Reddit and come across and give you some information that may or may not be useful there. Sometimes it's about 10 years old, but
I will be advertising for a job availability for somebody that is more than willing to assist me in my Reddit delving, because it's getting harder and harder to get past the screenshots. Because there's just more and more screenshots on Reddit. It's just constant screenshots. But no, this week, I mean, well, we can do the Reddit, but the main thing I was going to say is that 3.0.1 patch has come out.
yep, that's
Yes.
big news.
So we can go, that I was going to talk about that first, but if you want to do some Reddit highlights, I can do. But I
we'll
figured
do
we
that.
talk about the patch.
I missed
Let's talk about the patch first.
Match.
The highlights is filler stuff. Let's talk about.
Can
the
I
patch.
I was-
get the,
yeah.
the link to the
Oh,
new stuff?
frick.
Yeah, I'll get it for you now.
Thank
Get
you.
it
What the hell was that meant to be on?
I'll get it for you both.
Get it for me, but
Yeah.
oh,
Sorry, I'll
God
scroll down
help
too much
you.
on document. Okay, so yeah, 3.0.1. How long was that
3.0.
tested for by the Evocati? Because I am Evocati and they didn't send me an email to say they were
Thank you.
testing it, so I didn't actually have
Did
access
you not get
to
in
it.
it?
It didn't.
No.
Oh.
No, it did not go to Evocati. It went to the internal development team.
Well, it was on
Yes.
the
It was on
Evocati
the
chat
Evocati thing, yeah.
Yeah,
in
it
Spectrum
was.
saying it was being tested by people in Evocati
Yeah, but yeah,
about
you're
a day
specialised-
apparently. So there we
yeah.
go.
Especially, you wasn't good enough.
Not special enough.
You're not
To be fair, I agree with that one, so that's fine. I wasn't good enough.
That's
About a day, Ebbers thinks.
Okay.
not long enough, I guess.
Yeah, it was pretty. I was quite surprised by it because I was kind of like, I was a little bit butthurt because I was kind of going. It was interesting that the minute that they send out an email saying, "Oh, guess what, everybody? If you're a subscriber, you get immediate access for PTU," and then literally like about a couple of days later, we go, "Oh, guess what? We have a brand new PTU thing." Whereas they used to do a system of if you've been in 3 PTUs in a row, you get automatically selected, and they've obviously I don't know if they've binned that off or if that's just we've got rid of it and replaced it with. If you give us money.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's
I was
just
curious
because
about
it's a small patch that they're not fussed about it. Because I mean, they should stick to the same routine, I guess.
I wasn't
who's-
fussed about it.
I mean, who's happy now they don't have to download 30 gigs worth
Me.
of game
I'm
every
fucking happy.
time?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Took 2 seconds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can, like,
yeah.
Did I download that patch, or did I just miss something?
Yeah, so I suppose this is the first patch that people can really appreciate the Delta patch, isn't it? Because the other one was we had to download the whole full thing for the new 3.0, didn't we? So yeah, that's a good point. I suppose I've been using it a little bit in Evocati, so it's not so different. But I thought that I forgot that's the first time everyone else.
I just
has
feel,
been using
I
it.
really feel sorry for the people that have like a bandwidth caps or bandwidth connections. They don't have like a 30 gig thing. It takes them like 4 days to download it.
It did. Yeah, I
Well,
know a few people that had that, and it was
Yeah.
literally like some guy asked me, "Can I bring my computer around to yours and download it?" I was like, "We haven't really spoken much, to be honest, and I don't think my girlfriend would
160
appreciate
of Mac's followers just pull up outside and go, right, mate,
Alright,
download it.
Get them
for
all
me."
upstairs. Plug 'em in.
No, so it's no. I know there's a lot of people on data caps as well, especially in other countries. Their ISPs do different things differently. I know the people that play D&D with them, they do South Africa at least. They have like a cap, and then after midnight
Right.
they get it free and things like that. So this will help a lot of people actually get access to the game because I know a lot of people chose not to play it because of all the patching and downloading. So
And there's still a lot out there not that are still waiting for more than.
well, that's
right
understandable. I
Yeah,
think we're
yeah.
always going to have that, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's almost an element where I'm a little bit like that. I'm going to jump back into it and get more into it when now life's settled down a little bit. But I have been looking at some and I was thinking, well, you know, I've played lots of early access games and quite a few of them I've kind of got burnt out very early on by playing the same content over and over again. And then when it actually, because there's been a few now actually slowly releasing, and it's like, well, I don't feel the appeal to go and play it because I've played the alpha so much. I mean, this is obviously miles off of that yet, but yeah, I get that people would rather wait for more content.
Do you, I mean, here's a question for like yourself, Ryan, or Miz, or Little Bit Malice. When you play too much of a game, and do you then feel, am I doing this because I have to, or do I do this because I'm just going to get burned? There's nothing else to do. I need to give it a break for a bit.
I do that with StarCitizen. Sometimes I just think I'll play it. Like when I was going for partnership, I kind of forced myself to do more StarCitizen than anything else. But now it's kind of like I wanted to check out the patch, so I'll do that. But I have been, throughout the 5 years that I've been doing, or 4 years, I've burnt myself out a number of times, and then you'd literally just have to ride the wave. Sometimes you want to do it, sometimes you don't. If you don't want to do it, take a break, come back to it, you know?
I think there are a lot of people out there that keep playing it, especially content creators and stuff, and you can see that they're burning. They need to just, and not just that, the people that are getting extremely frustrated about a patch, or I can't believe they keep resetting all the currency or getting rid of all that about progress. And it's those sort of people you feel like you need to just take a step back because you're forgetting that this is early alpha and that sort of stuff is normal. It's just what's going to happen. If you don't like that, there's no harm in having backed it now and just leaving it for a while, just keeping an eye on it. Watching shows like this so you don't have to get all the information.
Exactly.
Or Supermax, Sunday roundup that comes out on a Monday most days.
Even more so.
Or just blame me for taking him down the pub for the last couple of times.
Yeah, that's why work's not been done.
Slacking off. Raising forcing him to slack off. I mean, for me personally, with StarCitizen, like last week I've been playing Subnautica. Really enjoyed it. I'm a gamer most of us are gamers.
Yes.
We play games. We love computer games. StarCitizen is a special game. Don't get me wrong. I love the game. It's my number one game. It's the number one streaming game. I love it very much. I like the community around it. However, there's going to be periods of time when other games come out that catch my eye. I want to try them, and I can get sucked into them because they're really good games. I don't expect to be. I didn't expect to be sucked into Subnautica.
I remember when you first tried it, you were like, "It's okay. I'm not shouting about it." And then a couple of streams later, I seen you like you can tell when a game's good when
totally
people keep going back and they say,
Mm.
"No." It's like, yeah, he's on it all the time.
I mean, I look at here's a stupid fact. You probably never heard of it. I checked my Steam hours played on a certain game. This game came out in 2011 called Cities XL. I played 700 hours of that game, and I'm going, what?
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's not a good feature of Steam, is it? When it tells you,
It tells you.
You've got no excuse when arguing with
It's
people.
kind of good at the start, isn't it? When you're around about 100 hours and you're looking and going, "Oh yeah, I like this game. Look, I've got 100 hours." I've seen my dad who plays Farming Simulator, and he gets like 50 every single release of it, and every single version of his Farming Simulator is over 1,000 to 1,500 hours played. And he's like, "Shit, that's a fucking lot."
And this goes back to the original point. If you love a game and you want to play a game, you could play it for hours and hours and hours and hours. But there's always that thing: will you get burned?
They said that if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you will become a professional at it, or you'll become an expert at it. And when you consider a tenth of that I've spent playing something like Arma 3 or whatever, or Fallout 4, and I thought, yeah, well, it's like I may be an expert at that, but where's the fucking use in this? What good is that in the real world?
I've got a degree in Fallout 4. Yes.
Is it 10,000 hours?
10,000 hours. If you like,
so basically, by the time I was 16, I was a professional at self-masturbation for sure.
Yeah. Men generally are, to be honest. Yeah.
I was a pro by that age, but no. It makes. I would be scared if we could record how much time, if they recorded how much time we played on StarCitizen, because I think I've put some big hours into this game, especially last year.
You may get that when it goes live. It's a shame we don't get it through. I don't know if you do want to know though. That's the thing.
Do we really want to know?
Yeah,
it will be that same. It's good to know, but then it's like embarrassing
not.
to tell people.
Would be scary. But I love the game, and like today, I just jumped in it, and if you saw, like, I was getting 60 frames flying into Daymar, and I was just looking at it, and it's just like getting a little teary. You know, I was getting a little tear in my eye, just like, this is the game. This is just beautiful. You know, it's absolutely. I had this wonderful feeling. It's just like there's nothing that just touches my crazy space spirit that this game has, and
But if you
I can now shoot people again.
Let's compare.
Best thing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's compare other games. I know we're going off a bit off topic, but how many games out there right now that you could download and play that you can walk inside and outside of your ship, walk around your ship, and then
Six games.
right with that, but then fly down to a planet with no damn loading screens.
Okay, three games.
That brings it down to 3, and then and then you come down to the quality of the graphics.
2, including No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky and StarCitizen are definitely on par.
Don't mention No Man's
I'm
Sky.
joking. No, it's true. This is the thing. It is a game that we are going to play for a long time. But going back to the original question, we do get burnt out. Everyone does, and you can see it in people. And the thing is, they'll come back to it again. You know, it's just a case of going off, doing something else, distracting yourself, then coming back. Whenever I go away and I come back, that usually resets my burnt outness. Unless I got a citizen con.
I think there's like, so say like you said with the City Skylines thing, there's a difference between like a completed game and an alpha. Like a completed game that's working fully and it does what it's supposed to do on the tin. It's easier to just keep playing over and over and over again and chuck those hours in. I mean, we've done it with StarCitizen anyway, but like it's harder because you're not getting the full mechanics that you want. And so this is what hopefully, although those are getting burned out now, as long as it's, I mean, it was still quite early on in the development stage and hardly, as we keep saying every week, but there's not much in the way of mechanics in yet. So hopefully when they come in, that's going to add a lot more gameplay and then that will then start seeing the whole replayability being a lot more fun.
There's a lot coming. There's a truckload coming. Anyway, carry on, Mr. Host. Sorry.
No, this is all part of it. This is what we
the chat
want
section.
with the podcast as well, is we do want to compare it to other games as well, because, like we said, Asylum now is more of a gaming channel rather than just StarCitizen, because I don't think focusing on one game is good, and we are gamers. It's naturally, like, Mac and I was playing Tarkov the other day, and Mads is playing Subnautica. You know, we are gamers. Even when StarCitizen released, some people will live in it completely, but I'm sure we'll still see another shiny game come over the hill, and you'll want to play that. You'll still go back to StarCitizen and everything else, but there's, you know, as a gamer, there's no. I don't think I've ever had one game that's just kept me out of playing anything else. I mean, MMOs definitely do that more than any other type of game, because my gaming background is an MMO background, so they definitely do pull you in and take away most of your free time.
The only one game that's ever done that for me, and that was Modern Warfare 2. I literally played Modern Warfare 2 religiously, pretty much every other day.
I think everybody in the chat can think.
Modern Warfare 2. That was
it's a good game.
That was literally hours? I just hours, and I mean, I put in serious hours with my mates. I don't know. I'd have to look on my Xbox.
Maybe
I played like prestige, like multiple, like many. I don't think I managed to get. I didn't cheat, so I never managed to get to the top level prestige. But
did you get bored of it?
No, I loved it.
So why did you stop?
I was the same for Modern
I stopped because they brought out Modern Warfare 3.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So other games come along, and so that, like, you know, they do pull you out to go and play other games.
And then
that's my
they got
point.
shit. It wasn't as good. Infinity Ward split up, then they went off to start off the Titanfall, which was not as good. And it's the way it is. It's the way it is. Games companies come and go all the time, but this one, I'm excited about this one. This one, I think StarCitizen is going to be a good 10 years. Once the game is. We're going to get 10 years of development, and we're going to get 10 years of the end product at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? So you're looking at a 20-year game time. Do you know what I mean? This is special.
As long as everyone realizes the game development's not going to stop, and that's what people need to realize.
Yeah. So there's probably more than 10 years. I would say there's definitely like 10 years is about the average for a solid game like the Armour series and other games like that. Obviously, it's hard to do that with
Grand Theft Auto.
yeah, GTA, yeah. It's hard to do it with games
Um,
like COD because obviously they keep reiterating on it. It's like football shirts every year. You can't stick to buying them all because they're too expensive. But when it comes to StarCitizen, it's going to be a game that they will constantly update, and it should be 20 years, potentially 30 years. They don't have to recreate a new game. They can just add to the already created game, and they should be able to update things like graphics and content. Just keep it alive, basically. As long as people are playing it, you can keep it alive.
Cracker makes a good point though. In the terms of multiplayer games, like sometimes like the reason I've stopped some MMOs is like the community kind of populates and goes somewhere else. Like how well do you think StarCitizen is going to kind of hold up to that? And do you think that it would still be playable even with a lower population? Because at the moment we got like servers of 30 odd. So like, do you think it would be a playable game like that? Can we turn this down? You can. Well, if you paid attention instead of like slagging me off in chat, you would know.
Will the game be playable in about 10 years' time?
He is so guilty.
Yeah, but Mitch, you weren't fucking listening either. You're like, yeah, please repeat
I was
the question.
talking. How could I not be listening? It was me saying it. Fucking idiot.
Mitch is like, God, as if he didn't listen. All right, repeat the question for Ryan's sake. But really, I saw you, man.
I was the one doing the question. How could I not listen to myself? As much as I try not to.
The question is, Mitch. So what is it?
Let's move
Come
on.
on, Miz.
So in 3.01,
Let's put Miz on the spot.
what else? I asked the fucking question. I was saying, do you think it was going to be
It's off the rails
any
already.
good when people leave the game? So like if like multi MMOs and stuff, the community kind of goes down a bit. So you start off with loads of people join, it's a new game, and then people go away, and then so you get harder to get raids, harder to find groups, that sort of thing. Do you think StarCitizen is going to last, or do you think it'll do well even with a smaller population? Because at the moment we've got quite a lot of people signed up as players, but do you think even with a smaller population it could continue?
Okay, that's a really good question. I think the first thing is I think
Nice of them to listen, isn't it?
If you listen to what they were talking about on Reverse the Verse with Todd, they were talking about, this is where they were talking about like things like Star Marine and Arena Commander, but not having too many game modes, because when you have too many games modes, it doesn't speed up the process of getting people into matches. It actually slows it down because it's too much choice for a small number of players. So you end up getting, I want to go and play, team deathmatch. I want to go and play single player, whatever, domination. I want to go. And then what happens is you get like 3 people here, 3 people here, 3 people here. Whereas if you only had one game mode that they could all play, that suddenly you've got 9, you can get into a match quicker. Granted, it may not be the one that they want, but you get that experience faster. And I think the same thing will be is if the game isn't got the huge numbers of people that they have, you'll want to potentially keep some of it as streamlined and narrow as possible to keep things rolling quickly and keep it interactive. Otherwise, it will become a death game, where it will just be nothing going on. Also, the AI will be really important to keep it energized. Like for example, I use Witcher as my best example of like a kind of a single player game that just has great side missions and keeps things going on. And they create like other game modes with like Gwent and all the other things inside to keep it fresh and keep it exciting. I think that's the big key for me with StarCitizen is building all these side missions need to be as good as, if not better than, Squadron 42 in terms of as a story.
I have to agree. I think to be honest, there shouldn't. Hang on, let me start that fucking sentence again.
Rewind.
The whole game is dependent on AI. Subsumption is probably the most, apart from like the optimizing, which will come eventually, but the subsumption is the system that needs to be robust because only 10% of the people we see will be real people. So there will still be a game regardless of whether a lot of people are playing it or not, because the subsumption should keep it alive. That said, if the subsumption sucks, and not that it will, if it doesn't look good, if they don't react properly, we will tell, and it won't be as engaging as we want it to be. But there should be enough content, enough in terms of AI population and things to do, that even if nobody played, there should still be something to go on, to play on. Which would suck, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we could take the GTA model. What they do in GTA with they like release a DLC like every 6 months or every year. Would they take that model in StarCitizen, for example? Then you get the player increase again.
Yes. I don't know about each year, but they've already said that's the continued development. So we will definitely get. I don't know if it'll count as Well,
Does that make a
I
bit of
suppose
sense?
they probably
like,
would sell
They will.
DLC in that, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Squadron 42 is going to get extra chapters, so why wouldn't
Yeah.
you expand on the verse as well whilst you're doing it?
Oh, the verse is going to get a lot of DLC.
I
Like,
expect
yeah.
like even
new systems, new aliens. They've got
But-
a whole freaking alien that we don't even know about. Which I think is it the Xi'an or the Tavaran that keep away from
no,
us?
you're
'Cause
thinking of the Tavaran.
Is it the Tavaran? They keep there's a whole alien race that they don't let us know about, which potentially at some point in the game they're going to introduce. You know that we may meet this alien
Well,
race, which increases a whole area of space that
You've
a whole
got that.
system of space.
You've got the humans, the first humans that got lost.
No humans.
Mm-hmm.
One
Humans
that's-
got lost.
They got lost and found their own in that spaceship.
Was Mac leading them by any
The
chance?
Artemis.
Well, I was about to
That's
say
it.
it was
The
Miz and Mac.
Artemis.
Was it?
No, wait a
was it
minute.
Miz and Mac on board
I'm
at the
sure
time?
it says turn left.
The Artemis.
Holding
that's-
the map.
If you
upside down.
if you read the lore in the Artemis, that ship actually got lost.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lore posts.
Yeah.
There is, and as long as people are playing it, they're gonna produce more systems, more ships. It's literally gonna be like a living, breathing world. As long as people are playing it. If everyone stops playing it, then there's no financial point to continue in development. But we are all going to be playing. I'll be there alone if need be. Playing it.
I'll be there, supposedly.
6 FPS.
Yeah, you just want those xenomorph game, Mr. Brian. That's
I
what you
do.
like.
I do. Like I said, if someone finds a xenomorph, capture it and chuck it on the reclaimer for me and a few friends to just run around and try and fight it out.
There's another mechanic that no one knows about yet. Is that actually capturing and transporting animals and creatures?
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, that'll just be so fun, all this sort of stuff. But there's more than just that alien race that we don't know about. They will introduce aliens that we haven't seen, and that will be at launch, I expect. So, because if we know every alien that exists, where's the fear? You know?
Where's the
Like,
fear?
I expect them to have them after. I expect us to know all the aliens on launch. I expect them to be doing.
I can just imagine, like Miz.
That's my opinion.
Or Miz, or a little bit of Madness, right? Can say, right, see that king ship over there with the Vandal? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine.
Oh,
That'll be
well,
Operation
actually,
They won't
if
see
you
me on my little Aurora.
Actually, hang on. If you see me on Subnautica, and most people have, they know that I'm a little bit of a fraidy cat, so I probably will be saying, "Let them go first."
Miz, go!
Yeah, we'll clean up afterwards.
That would be more likely what will actually happen, because I'd be like,
Nice.
"Oh my god, that's huge." So,
But that brings into the other question. I know it's a bit of Operation Pitchfork. That brings into that whole realm of Operation Pitchfork. So you're not going to be on the front lines, Mr. Miz. You're going to be on the cleanup crew behind you. Go, you just get on with it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the smart place to be honest. There's going to be a lot of wreckage on these
With a
Operation
reclaimer.
Pitchfork.
Yeah.
Just carnage everywhere. Be like,
Carnage.
yeah, this is the best place
Don't
to
care
be.
who.
making
I
money.
mean, that's going to be one thing with the reclaimer, though. You're not really going to give a shit who wins, are you? It's just as long as there's scrap.
Yeah.
As long as there's
Nah,
scrap, I'm happy.
As long as there's something there.
If you can earn yourself a fleet of reclaimers before the game is launched, just sit behind them all and be like, "Oh, we'll have a cup of tea. Let them
Have a cup of tea.
or whatever you want to do,
Cup of tea and
Eat it.
salt.
and clean up."
Are you gonna paint yours like with the dustbin band kind of colours and stuff, like kind of on your local area?
The orange beacons on the top just
SMB
flashing round.
Waste management.
Vehicle is reversing.
Hive is EVA jacket.
That's it. You've got we've got the t-shirts already for Mac's new logo brand. It's going to be the Waste Management SMB Waste Management logo t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Profession.
On the back of the
Wait,
t-shirt,
alright,
can just say
boys.
vehicle is reversing. Perfect.
That's perfect. That is,
Sound in space, just in case there's someone behind.
oh god, I could just imagine it now. Be like golf claps and everything, like in that movie. What's his name with Charlie Sheen and his brother. Golf clap.
No, I've not seen that.
You've not seen that one?
No.
It's like,
90s
like,
film?
oh, dude, it's like old school. I can't remember what the film's called now. I watched it not too long ago, actually.
I thought you said golf clap.
They played Dustbin Men.
They played.
They
Charlie
Dustbin.
Sheen and yeah. They don't play Dustbin. They're actually they're
They are
don't
Dustbin
worry.
Men.
We're way off topic.
We're
I'll
way
link
off
it.
topic. Sorry.
Way off topic.
Real
Actually, reeling it back to 3.01 because I want to talk about
Go for it.
EMP and
What we
missiles.
were supposed to start with before we went off topic.
So we're way back to 3.1 of the patch. Okay, so one of the big things about the patch that I'm really pleased about, and I know like obviously griefers and people out there are going to be crying tears, but the EMP finally has gone from 4 seconds to 17 seconds. The Raven was around about 3.5 seconds. It's now 17 seconds, the same as the Warlock. The recovery time for any ship, once it's fully EMP'd, is 15 seconds. So that means you've got 2 seconds. Once you're hit, you've still got an additional 2 seconds to potentially get the beep out of there, which is good. It gives you that little bit of extra time you need.
Sorry, beep? You mean fuck?
Yeah, the fact that the dial-up time is so much longer now. I mean, so much longer. That means that obviously, if you are a Raven pilot or a Warlock pilot, you're going to have to be really sparing on when you release that, because if you don't get the hit, you ain't going to get them. They're gone. They're definitely gone. So I really like that, and that's really, really good. I think I've got some numbers on here. So the Raven. The Raven currently has a 475 meters range with the EMP. If you're at 500, if you're at 500 plus meters, it will only take your front shields or where you are shields down. Won't actually stop you, which is cool. And if you're 1,000 meters in a Warlock, it will only take your shields down. But if you're 975 meters, it will completely immobilize you. So basically, the Warlock is actually. I thought it was like, the Warlock's better because it can get you from range. But I was chatting with my combat pilots friends, and they're saying actually the Raven's still better, because what it means is that your ships can get closer to the target without your friend EMPing you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So if you've got Ravens next to you,
balance to it, isn't there?
Yeah. You've got your Raven next to you. You better still fly with the Raven, because if you've got your Raven next to you, you only have to be 5 meters from the target or your friend, basically. So otherwise you'll get wrecked. So I was like, oh, cool. Okay, that's interesting. So it's really good for strategy. If people in here who want to be like commanders of like Idrises and things, because a lot of people own like some of these big ships.
I know nothing.
And other things.
I know nothing.
If you own these ships, I'd like to think that these people are thinking themselves as potentially captains and leaders, because you're going to be potentially having to organize
like a 3D map and.
My Aurora is huge.
Look, I've already been told by a certain person over there. As soon as I get my Idris in the game, he's been hijacked by him, Mr. Ryan. And
he's the wing commander.
Crash landed on a planet.
Get out.
Straight forward to the planet. But we'll crash, sir. Straight forward to the planet.
Don't disobey me.
Fantastic.
Everyone's like, fucking hell. So what's the difference between a Warlock and a Wizard?
A Warlock and a Wizard?
Just a question, like what?
A Warlock has a pact with the demons, whereas a Wizard is a learned crafter. He has to learn the spells through books. I don't know what that's got to do with Titan, but that'll do.
That sounds about right. Let's do that one. Okay.
That's right. That's completely 100%. I've been reading Dungeons and Dragons and recently, and I think that sounds right.
It's got nothing to do with StarCitizen, but it is right.
What about the
your expensive hobby of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Yes, we've heard all about it.
Yes.
It is an expensive hobby. And if you didn't know, we do Dungeons and Dragons on Friday nights called 30.
And look at this t-shirt.
Channel. And you can get t-shirts and merchandise.
That plug works so good.
That plug.
Did you see how that was almost like we didn't practice it? It just flowed so nicely.
Unbelievable.
It still announces on my phone whenever you go live, Miz, that it's just Dungeons and Dragons.
Does it?
The music comes on. We have the next question is: has anyone tried in 3? Do we know if any of the hover mechanics have been tweaked in 3 in this new patch at all?
Hover mechanics, in like the atmosphere.
The knocks and the knocks and the drivers. We know that all these were so poor, and I'm just curious if because the frames have improved, maybe that will be optimized a bit. I didn't get enough time to take one out today. I was too busy chasing around and stealing Mac's rover earlier on stream, so I didn't have enough time to test taking out. Do you know what was really annoying? I had no choice though, because you weren't driving out of the combat zone, because I was going to blow you and your friends out.
I mean,
on stream. You didn't do it, so I had to steal.
These are the experts when it comes to like actual gameplay right now, because officially, ladies and gents, I haven't logged in over a year.
What?
Wow.
To the game?
To the game.
Do you even StarCitizen?
Yeah.
What the hell is he doing here? Hang on. Let me just see what
when I say the actual game,
I'm
talking about the actual universe. I've logged into my hangar. I've logged into.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
course it's
So,
not gonna-
go and find that poster on the floor and just hold it up for us.
What? This
not good.
poster? Why? Why? I know what poster you lot are wanting, and you're not getting hold of that one. I mean, there you go. There's my poster. There's that poster.
Just hold it in front of your face. That's fine.
Yeah,
What?
just
Oh,
hold it
thank you very
around.
much. Oh, cheers.
There we
You
go.
know what I mean? Stuff you all.
That's
Oh,
play.
yeah.
That's play more Star Citizen than you has.
But
Let's see
that
if I-
whole incident, though, Madders, just when I saw the rover driving off.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute. There you go. You carry on, chaps. I'm just looking for
Keep
something.
going.
This is
I'm going to
carry
find
on.
I'm going to find a special poster so you can hold your horse. Just carry on.
Okay.
I-
Okay.
Okay, see you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Time
Yeah.
him out. But yeah, when you stole that, I saw it driving off and I thought, nah, no one's stealing that, surely not. And then the guy who was with me just fucking legged it. And I saw you when we caught up with you. You were driving up a cliff, trying to get over.
I was trying to get out of the. I wanted to get out of the area.
The
I wanted to
Armistice.
draw you in, get out of the Armistead zone. I had a pistol only. To be fair, I was not sure what I was going to do, but I just wanted to go. I just wanted to try.
Hadn't
Confidence.
thought it through.
The question you have to ask is, does he have a driving license? That's the question.
Not anymore.
Do you know what, do you know what was, I'm going to be honest with you. Do you know what was even more funny was the fact that when you fell down at the end of the stream, you wanted him. I can't remember what the guy was flying in the Cutlass to fly away and to go zooming around. You have no idea. Do you want to know where I was?
Was it you pushing me out?
No, I wasn't in the.
Okay.
I didn't do that. Do you want to know where I was? I was sat in the. I was in the gun. I was in the turret, waiting for you guys to get in the ship and go. And I was just going to come down and then just go.
Sneaky
pop,
bastard.
pop, and then take the spin. But you didn't. You were dicking around for so
can't
long.
find
I
you.
was.
I kept
Oh.
getting pushed out of the Cutlass. I was in the Cutlass, and whoever was with me kept fucking pushing me out.
It was
can't-
so fun to try.
Sorry.
I wanted to try it out to see how easy it was to like sneak on board. Because you landed. You remember you landed your Cutlass and there was a Saber came in and parked in
Yes.
front of you.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
me. That was me.
Oh,
landing
was
in the
that
Saber.
you stealing my landing pad?
Landing in the pad with you as well.
When
yeah.
I saw
was
that,
just
I thought you,
was trying it out.
whoever it was, bastard. This is my landing pad. You didn't even request it, so you're not even allowed permission in there.
This
They don't know
thing
you're
is like-
there.
It was, and then there's someone was doing the Gladius was ramming the other guy, and I was just watching him, and then he crashed
know who
into
that
the
was.
building. Sorry, we're talking recapping, but that was funny. So yeah, it was. It was
Sorry,
fun to
gents.
do because you need to practice it. I always say in this game is practice every type of gameplay. Become a robber. Get on.
that
Try
your
and get
excuse?
onto with someone. Try and get on. Try and because then you'll learn.
No, officer. I'm
Where-
practicing.
They're going
Just
to do.
practicing. It's all good.
Just practice it.
So,
Practice it.
presents
You'll
arrived.
protect yourself.
Yeah,
Oh,
presents.
that's for me.
Yeah, that presents arrived. That's a new graphics card.
Yeah, I'll have that.
Wow.
I'll send you
And,
my address.
yeah.
I'll send you my address
And,
after. It's fine.
And, oh, by the way, Matt.
Yeah. A GeForce GTX 1050, sir. Is that for the BritainCon stream? Not stream, sorry, the event. Raiden? Raiden.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Right.
That's from Britain's Con. Yes, it's arrived.
That's a British.
Very nice.
Oh, wow,
Excellent.
look at that.
That's very cool of you, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. So that's here.
And we haven't plugged it yet today. So since we're sticking the adverts in between everything we talk about,
we're
if you
speaking about
exclamation
Dungeons and
mark BritainCon in chat, and you can get some information about the event. It's on in Manchester in the end of April 21st. Go to the website, buy your tickets. If you can't make it. If they can't make it, they also now have a donate button on there if you'd like to participate in donating to the event, because it is a fan
donating.
participate in donating. Look,
Is that
just because
something
you don't
can
know words,
participate in?
of course you can.
Should we
Anyone
do
can
some
participate.
donating today? Yes. Would you like to participate?
It's a
Yes,
participation
okay,
event. It's not a viewing one.
participate to
We
the group.
participate in donating. It's all good. So if you'd like to be piss poor participating in the event, go over to the website and donate.
So we've had 40 minutes, boys, and we've covered barely.
Okay. Okay. No talk. Let's talk about what
We've
Right.
got a lot to go through.
So, the other thing that was announced, Mac said he wanted to talk about was the medic profession.
Medical.
Yes. This
So
is
we can
very
talk
cool.
about this. Go for it. Take it away, man.
Take it away.
So we, I think it was calling all devs, and this is what I got most excited about. Is one of the questions was how can you tell us regarding the medical side of gameplay how immersive it will be, or how it will be and how immersive. And he explains that it's split into two fields. One is the field medic, which is just basically treating people on the planet. You only have a limited supply of equipment, and it's not going to be machines and things. It's just generally stim packs that you would obviously stick someone with. But over time, if you sustain a lot of damage, so let's say you get shot in the leg, a lot of times you will then, that leg could suffer from a fracture, which would then need to be taken to a hospital or a properly established location like a ship med bay or a planetside hospital. Obviously, if you get hit, it's not generally going to be instant like fracture. It's going to be over time. You'll get damage and wear and tear, and then you'll need to get either repaired or, I guess, if it's completely blown off, and a prosthetic arm. Now, the medical facilities, they say, will be at the most major landing zones. Doctors will be there, and through machines and listening to, seeing you and studying you, they'll be able to determine what is wrong with you, and then you'll go and get treated depending on what the symptoms are. Now, they did say, I know when we talk about like the Starliner talked about players being medics. They want to make it as in depth as possible, but they don't know to what level they'll be able to take it. So hopefully players will be able to have this full, which has been said in the Starliner document.
And
hopefully players.
Then you've got all the specialized ships for actual medical.
Yeah, so like the Cutlass will have a decent. I don't think it'll be a fully equipped hospital style ship. It'll just be things like an ambulance to get you on there to keep you alive using machines that they can't do in the field to a hospital to then be properly treated. But you'll be able to look at people visually, audibly, that you'll listen to them and animation wise on the players, and you'll be able to determine what is wrong with that person via those sort of key skills. So obviously if you do it a lot, you'll get used to seeing, like as a real doctor would, they'd be able to determine and diagnose you quicker because they have experience.
Is that medical facility still on ArcCorp? The actual where you go?
So.
I think so, yeah. So that's like a hospital.
Did they say that when you take them to the hospital, you would have any part in that gameplay, or are you more just like the intermediate paramedic type thing rather than the actual one getting involved in repairing the damage?
I think the intention is to have players play as doctors and have that full immersive, diagnosing someone, then sending someone to treatment in a machine and going through machines. That is the intention. I guess what they're doing is saying, well, we don't want to just commit to that yet, but that's what they've. And if you do read that document on the Starliner and on the Doctor, because there'll be like a medic on board, that will be part of the gameplay. So hopefully they will get round to that when they start fleshing out the medic system. But the whole idea of being a field medic is exciting. I like that idea, and then getting someone onto the Cutlass Red and sort of keeping them alive as much as possible until you get back to hospital, even if it's just AI.
In Star Trek, they just get a little scanner and go, okay, that's what's wrong with you. And then they get this thing and they just stick it in and they go, oh, that'll cure you, regardless of what it is. That'll fix your bones, that'll cure you. It's going to be that. Like this magic wand.
Medical emergency, beam this person to the transport to the medical facility.
You've got AIDS? Oh, don't worry about that.
Take two of these.
Do whatever you like. Yeah.
Put 2 of these in you, you'll be fine. You'll be dandy in a couple hours.
Orally. Oh, never mind.
It will be interesting. It will be interesting to see where they go with this. That's because when they implement this, is it the first basics like anything? It's going to be the basic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't expect it like anything.
Can I say? I always get worried because they leave it so vaguish. It gets so pumped up as a profession that people are going to be so disappointed when it comes in and literally all you're doing is
like I just said, static. It's just a scanner.
That's the thing. It's not been left vague, because if you read that post on the Starliner, this is the problem, is that if they've said this, now they've got to kind of deliver that, which is the worry.
Maybe that's more of the problem. Yeah,
that's more of the problem.
Over-promising again on very.
That could be the case.
That's a whole different. That's a whole other debate about the promises and the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
But they did mention as well that in terms of like piracy and smuggling and all the sort of the black side of the law.
Oh, there's been a storm.
They will also have a full mechanic like you would see in mining doctors. So it's not just going to be a case of, well, you know, as a pirate, you can only do this much. They're going to have a full in-depth system as just as much as a miner would. Or
they have been stinking up a storm, those pirates and stuff, about over on Reddit, over on the Spectrum, about their
They've
mechanic.
cleared that up, though. Have you heard
It's all
about
clear.
that?
It's all been cleared up. It's all been cleared up.
Supposedly.
To be fair, it wasn't. They basically said like a lot of these things. These are ideas. These are long-term goals for us. We're putting them in the back. We have to focus on the priorities of this, and this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the whole sea. A lot of people want the whole sea, but they've got the guys who are working on that have had to move on to another project. They said it, you know.
Oh, is that what's happened then? Is that why we're not seeing that yet?
Because they've got problems with the they said
mechanic of it folding in and being
folding
out.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, you see, there's certain, I mean, that one is going to be difficult to pull back on, but certain things like even the medic profession, if they can't do the mechanic, you know, I don't think they'd be too afraid to turn around and say, look, the technology doesn't work. Like,
Well,
you know,
that's
at the
what they
moment it
say,
keeps
isn't it?
going on back burner. You know what I mean? That's what they do. They keep saying, "Oh, we don't know yet. We don't know yet." But there's going to be a point where they might look into, "We just can't do this. Not to the degree we want to do. So we're going to have to find a different way of doing it."
That is what they said, isn't it? Is they say they'll do it if it's possible. If not, they will just do it in a different way. But yeah, they are always pushing the boundaries of what is achievable, and eventually things will be hopefully to the point that they say it will be at. But obviously, their intention is not always going to be the same as the reality. But they do point that out, though. That's the thing. They do point that out. They're not promising a mechanic like this.
They're going to give you a saw and you can cut someone's leg off, and then you'll be able to... if you've got VR, you'll be able to get them joysticks and grab the leg and meld it together, that sort of thing.
Don't expect to be beamed up.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. With these kind of these professions and stuff, I just get concerned. I'm just like, nail some of the some simple ones first. Just get a couple salvage and mining in first.
I think that's what they're kind of doing. That's why we're going to get this tier 0 stuff that they're talking about. So it'll be just get some, like you just said, finally try and get some form of mechanic in, get it in there so we can actually use it, even if it doesn't come anywhere near close to what they want. It's a starting block to see where they can build from. And it's the same with the cargo mechanic. Eventually, we've got it in now. It's a very low basic thing, but it gives us all a very good idea of where they're heading with it. Yeah, and I think that's what we'll start seeing with the other.
Then a part of me is like, well, maybe that's. But then I as a non-gamer, I go, well, then maybe that's wrong. Maybe it is better to kind of try and map out all the professions, get all of the basic kind of systems in place, because there could be a lot of crossover of those mechanics. Who used to say like a tool set that you've built for mining couldn't work for a medic profession, for example? You know,
I'm sure there'll be a lot of similarities in terms of back-end tech and certain tech. It'll mostly be the animations and the aesthetic that will be different. But like what Miz was saying, tier 0, don't expect anything that's going to be anywhere near what they say is a final product.
And that's the thing. People just need to do breathe, step back a minute.
Do one. No, you gotta do one.
This is like step 1 of the 100 steps they got to go through. And if they're expecting everything in step 1, they're just not going to get it in step 1.
Yeah, I mean, if you can see it, the cargo was tier 0 now. If you imagine that as very first implementation and nowhere near what it's meant to be, it actually works pretty well. For tier 0 with the whole marketplace and the prices going up and down, like as a very first iteration, it's actually working pretty damn good.
It is, and it's to be honest, there's going to be certain things like the cargo thing where you'll get the first iteration, you'll think, wow, this is better than I expected for a first step. But then there will be things that are like, that's not right. And this is all part and parcel of it. They'll go back and they'll iterate on the ones that aren't right, and they'll iterate on the ones that are good. But you'll see these different levels, and they can't come in and guarantee that what they create for the first off is going to be perfect. But then some things will just be good, some things will be bad. I'm just waffling. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Just a quick one before we go on the medical. Just on the last thing. Yes. So who here would play that as a profession in the game?
Not 100% profession, but I would dabble.
It interests you as a profession, basically.
It does. I think it'll interest me in the fact that it's got an in-depth. I think what they're going to try and do is all these professions, they're going to make them as good single player sort of feelings alone. You know, like you'll want to play that, and it should be robust enough to enjoy it.
Your
But
only
people will
profession, you mean.
specialize. Yeah, I just want to be an all-rounder, but a lot of
Yeah.
people will stick to one.
Well, if you're asking me personally, I have two. One's the ship's captain role, as probably many of you know, but the other one is the explorer role. Just the explorer role itself, the whole diverse thing of actually being exploring.
And you'll need a medic.
And you'll probably need a medic.
Yeah.
Oh, just because
If you're in my ship, you'll definitely need a medic.
Yeah,
It's-
just because
it's-
chat's talking about it, but I'll talk about it. Karen Craig, sorry.
Yeah, go, what?
No,
Chuck's
I was just going to say, we're talking about scalability. Just going back to the point, chat's
Yes.
talking about it, and that's what scalability is. What I was saying in terms of having a tool mechanic that can be used across many different things. You don't want to have one or two tools that can only do specifically one thing in a game this size. You want to try and have tools and things and mechanics behind the scenes that can do many different processes, many different things, because you just don't have the memory to lose at the moment. Optimization is super important, so you want things to do many different things, otherwise it's just going to be wasted. Like the FOIP system, I think they were talking about it on Reverse the Verse again. He was talking about being what did he call it, like decaying system, I can't remember. He said something about it being like neglected type of system, I mean, it's done, but it's like it needs to be polished and improved as a tool set.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with that probably needs to have more uses than just what it's going to be used for at the moment. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's the way I was interpreting Reverse the Verse when they talk about it. Sorry, Craig.
So Craig.
Sorry, Craig. My bad. I shouldn't have
Well,
interrupted.
no, you didn't interrupt me at all. It's just like my.
Oh, we're so British here.
Oh yes.
You go first.
I have.
Oh, chum.
Don't start, because I'll just give away something right now, my friend.
No, you go first. It's fine. Have any of you seen Altered Carbon? That's just come out.
Altered
I'm
Carbon.
excited, super excited about it.
So I saw
about
people
this.
posting on Facebook. This ties in a little bit with the medic profession, maybe. Kind of like kind of doesn't, but the way they handle your life and death in there, I think is quite an interesting concept. And I think I know Eve do the same with like the clones and having clones, so when you die you've got backup clones. But I quite like the idea on Altered Carbon where they're using these like life discs that that's your life, and then you just get posted over. No, that's just what the film's about.
That's in the trailer. That's in the trailer, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
Spoilers ahead, warning.
and I just, what do you think if that would be a good idea for StarCitizen's way of getting over like you being killed or your body being destroyed?
Do they really want to go down the road of doing what Eve has done?
Yeah, but they've already
That's
said
the
that you're going to
question.
die and you're going to have ancestors.
respawn.
But
Yeah.
a kind of like changing your life, like your life is on a computer chip and then being turned into a different body. I like that idea better.
I like the clone system idea. If some people disagree with me with this one, that's fine. I have my own opinion.
I don't even know what you're going to say when I disagree.
Well,
no, go on.
Yeah, I
sorry.
agree. I disagree.
I do like the clone system, but how that would work? Do they take the Eve Online system, or do they go completely something different?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I kind of like this Altered Carbon. I know they're not going to do that because they said you're going to have ancestors, so you're going to be. Technically for them, it's going to be a different life. But if they looked at this like Altered Carbon way of doing it, it means you could potentially keep your reputation and everything else, but you're just in a different body, which it would be a good way of doing it in my opinion. But I doubt we'll get that.
I think when it comes to your character, they need to make the loss of like you as a what is it? Not dignitary, as the next of kin or whatever.
Yeah.
Will get your ships.
God help you all.
Will get your ships. They'll get like certain things, but keeping anything that is tied to that character, like your look, your reputation, should be wiped because there needs to be that punishment of you don't want to die. So you need to be thoughtful with your actions, which is something they're trying to push with this game compared to other games, is that you need to survive.
I've got a few. We were talking about this earlier. Cray was talking about this on. He had someone come on his stream, didn't you?
Yes.
It's just to do with the fact that the universe is so big.
Yes.
Needing to, if you have your friends being able to come and play with you, if they're on one side of the universe, you're on the other side of the universe. This you've got like 40 minutes or an hour or whatever to wait till you can play with each other in the game. It's kind of not really going to be fun for people. So they need to find a way of transporting people somehow to a location quickly so people can join up. I mean, some people were saying about potentially having clones, wasn't it, Cray? You were saying
there's something to do with like you're on you come out of your own person. It's like somehow magically appear into an NPC. You then take over an NPC on your ship across the universe. Now, this system is like theoretical. They have mentioned this many times.
They mentioned it a long time ago, that you could basically, they linked it originally to if you bought, say, multiple accounts for the game.
Correct.
Then you would have those NPCs on your ship, and therefore, if a friend logged in, they could log into one of your NPCs. Now, that would work for instant gameplay, and I suppose there's no reason why they still couldn't do that. But what you wouldn't be able to do or shouldn't be able to do is have your reputation of your own character and import all that over to that other person's NPC, because that wouldn't. It's circumventing the whole like navigating the stars basically, because you can just appear anywhere. With all your reputation and everything else.
I've heard this multiple times, and a couple of people did ask me on my Twitch stream and asked this particular question. So, I'm on one side of the universe. I want to come and help you on your ship. You're like 60,000 light years away, for example, like 60 planets away. How do I get to you within 3 seconds?
Yeah, and then my answer to that is you'll never be able to. In my opinion, I don't think they should ever be able to immediately suddenly land. It just for me would ruin the idea of it being a big universe and that kind of a game. I think there needs to be a degree of time, but they need to be able to find a way to shorten the time to, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And for me, it's the way Eve does it is that you can create obviously drones or clones of yourself in different stations around the world or whatever, and then you can log into that clone, and then you can then from a station then fly to where your friend is as close, and that usually reduces the time considerably. It's still not immediate, and he's going to have to fend for himself and try and do whatever he can. I mean, I don't like when we were talking about it earlier off stream, I don't personally like the idea of just embodying an NPC. It doesn't feel like it's my character. I like it's kind of a cool idea, but I want it to still be my character, though.
But maybe it'll be a choice. You can go on that person's NPC and play through that lose all your stats and not stats, but your reputation and things, and just play as the NPC for the day or that mission. Or you can choose to fly over there with your main character and meet up with them that way. I think if you do what you're suggesting and just having clones everywhere, that's no different to just having an instant teleport, really, which that again ruins the size of the verse.
No, I wasn't going to say clones. I was going to say actually what you were talking about, which is what the data disks, the ability if we actually have information through data and through computers and stuff. Who's to say you couldn't technically embody, like you were saying, if we're talking about clones, embody the NPC, you know what I mean? Then it's or you could kind of wire yourself in and download and send the information.
It's a difficult one between balance of keeping the verse feeling huge and then getting to group with your friends, I suppose.
What I think they should do, I think they should keep like a couple of options. So you can just jump in as an NPC. It won't be your character. Your character won't benefit at all from that, but you will get to play with your friend. Or what they should do, now this is, think about it before you judge me, they should have teleportation, but you cannot take a ship. You have to wear a particular suit. You get teleported as you to another teleportation device, which is just like a TARDIS, and
Star
then
Trek.
You are there, but you only have like a basic spacesuit, and you have to go and use their weapons, their armor. You can't take your ships, your fleet, your equipment, only your person. And then you are there, and you can. I mean, it may be a good balance.
Naked, like Terminator.
Like Terminator, but maybe not completely naked.
I got no clothes.
900 years in the future, maybe they figured out how to transport matter, but not to the scale of a ship or equipment like a weapon. Maybe just humans.
I mean, that would be
allow fast traveling for people who want to.
That would be similar to taking over a clone or an NPC, I suppose.
True,
you could
but
take your stuff,
though.
But you don't get to take all your ships and everything else. Yeah.
So
It's a difficult one, to be honest.
You've got to make it expensive, in my opinion. If you die,
that's true.
Punishment for it. Make it super freaking expensive.
Yeah, so if you want to teleport, Costs a bit.
But then
Yeah.
people are
It's
moaning
not-
that they
it's not gonna
can't play
be
with their
easy.
friends because it's freaking expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
You
That
could
kind of
see-
beats the object, doesn't it?
This you can see how complicated this can get.
Some people are going to get upset. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't have immediate transport. Because then, if you imagine, like, if you could make immediately just keep going back and back and back and back, fights would go on for forever. You just keep spawning back in, like it'd be like forever.
I've got
back
50
in.
NPCs just
50,
lined
60
up
people.
waiting for me.
Yeah.
Imagine fighting one guy from Imperium.
Just-
They keep transporting new Imperium members.
I'm fighting Tess.
Agent Smith, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They have to, like, if you teleport somewhere or if you get somewhere. No, that's true. If you're able to just jump straight onto someone's ship, you'll just. But you'll only have so many NPCs on board that ship anyway, and only those
so
people
many ships.
can
So,
become.
I either
Players.
think
Then you could teleport to ships. You could teleport to stations nearby. Where your
Personally-
mate's got a ship near a station and keep spawning ships over and over. It would be carnage.
No, you can limit that. You can limit it because if there's only so many NPC crew on, you cannot have any more than that in real players.
Yeah.
Also, if you only have like a sort of a TARDIS, for example, they can only spawn there, so they're not going to be able to spawn on the ships.
I know what I'll be doing. Cargo freights with huge, like, what is it? The passenger vehicles full of NPCs.
But you can see how complicated
behind them.
what they mentioned on there when they first mentioned this, like spawn out of your body, go into another NPC, take over an NPC. How complicated this system can then get.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think they may potentially go away from that completely and not let you take over NPCs. And I think, or they'll go with that, or I don't think they'll do this teleporting thing. I think they'll either just say, look, if you want to group with your friends, it's tough. You need to organise in advance. Say, look, where the hell? Because even now in Elite Dangerous, I went to group up with someone, and we was like completely the opposite sides. It took me 80 jumps to get to them. That's what it was. That was the gameplay, and I feel like that's probably what we're going to get in this. If you want to group up with your friends, then either go sleep on their ship, because by then hopefully we'll have the respawning on the ship. So if you go sleep in their bed, you can respawn on their ship, or have a central base, or you basically got to be near where you hang around, or go fly to where your mate is, or tell them when you're not in the game for the new spectrum control. And I think it'll be a lot more out of game organisation as well as in game, because I just think any other way is just going to screw it up. And they did talk about, I know originally, about taking over, say, like an NPC gunner or something like that. But I just don't think that's going to work. I think it'll ruin the whole feel of the size of the. But that's my opinion on what they would do.
The whole point.
What's the point of an org otherwise? Then that's the whole point of orgs, right? To fly together, to build bases together.
Yeah, so you have a hub, and you do your missions around that hub, don't you? And then that would make an explorer profession more of a profession, because they're going to go away from your friends or away from these groups because they want to explore. And so that means living aboard your ship or having a crew that stays with you is a lot more important. And that makes that, if you just could teleport somewhere, then what's the point of exploring? You might as well get one person to go out there and say, right, mate, I'll be your NPC. Quick, I want to have a look at that. And then all of a sudden, everybody teleports to their ship.
That's where they mentioned it falls down, because then it ruins the explorers, and then it ruins this mechanic.
Exactly. And it's like, if they're going to that much effort to make this game immersive, and then they go and throw in something like that teleportation device, it's just it ruins it.
There you go. We're all in agreement on this one. Whereas we're all divided on whether we should spawn into things. We're all in agreement that actually
what they're actually going to do.
Shit, tough shit. You're going to have to fly 4 hours to meet your mate. Or whatever.
Pretty much.
Or find a wormhole to maybe speed up the process a little bit, and maybe a few wormholes around.
Or have multiple accounts.
Or have multiple accounts. Oh, yes, StarCitizen. Don't say that, Miz. More money.
Just think of how many Squadron 42 packs you could own. Come on.
Well, there's just
an alt in every port.
Or how many ship? Because you have mentioned this as well. It's like, if you have multiple ship packages, you get an extra character slot. Have you heard this one?
Combat.
Yeah.
Have you heard this one? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not going to mention how many I've got.
Yeah. Well, like I said, one in every port.
Are we talking about hookers?
No, we were talking about every game package. What they said, you can buy extra character slots for your characters. Yeah.
Well, we'll see about that one.
That's the only downside I can see on that system is that exactly that. It rewards the people who want to buy more accounts to be able to have more versions dotted.
But
all
more
over the
accounts
place.
mean more money.
More accounts.
And potentially less fun for a lot of other people. Yeah, that's the only one kid, one really got like loads of computer screens. It's like, yeah, jump in with this one, jump in with this one, jump in with this one.
Just imagine this. All right, I'm going to put it. Just imagine this scenario. Next of kin. Who takes over my StarCitizen account?
I do.
You do. Well, you're going to dibs first.
I take it over.
I'm iffy on the whole next. Like, I don't know. I'm like,
I think it's more a case of like it's a balance, isn't it, between losing everything and having the severe punishment, or having something to gain back even though you've died. They need to have that sort of feeling like your life means something. Otherwise, it will be a COD. You just rush in, you die, you respawn. There's no punishment there.
That's
they just have different expenses. Maybe they could have like the highest level of medication will be able to respawn you with all.
Oh, you want to be the Baron of the drug dealers, do you?
And then the cheap one kind of maybe gets you back, but with maybe you got an artificial limb somewhere. The dirt cheap one means you have to hand it over to somebody else.
You just want to be the medicine grower, don't you?
The medicine grower. It's a living.
Mr. Green.
It's a living.
And that's going back to professions again, isn't it? The actual growers, farmers, miners. There's truckloads, but people don't know too much about right now.
This is true. This is
true. Very true. Why has my volume gone down on that? That's just terrible. What the hell's going on there?
Has your volume gone down? That's a shame.
Okay, so well, that was good. We got through the medical profession, which was pretty cool. And we managed to get through 3.01.
We're a couple of hours in. We're about a millimeter of what we're meant to be through.
We're an hour in, and we probably could be a bit further. So there's a few little things on the Reddit, which I'm just going to bring up now, which I'll try and sift through some that are important, which are not. So here's something like, so I actually hate it when I see on Reddit, when I see somebody says, I'm about to buy the game and I have a few questions. I kind of go, ooh, shit, they've just released a brand new webpage and somebody's already asking questions on Reddit about it, how to buy a ship. That's a fail on the new webpage immediately. So they're asking like, things like, what is the best package? Can I tell if this is, what is the best thing? If I purchase this, or it's just, the game recommends an SSD drive. Can anyone tell me the approximate install size? I mean, if they've been recommended an SSD drive, why the hell isn't the webpage telling this person what approximate size of the information?
Because it's not necessary, is it? That's the thing. I mean, what they need to do.
But it's on their webpage, clearly. The game recommends an SSD drive.
That's
advertising, isn't it? Yeah.
That's if you can find the actual stats now, because they've made them.
Do you know what I saw? I got a comment today on YouTube, sorry, just to sort of
questions.
He says, what they need to do is go back and create the game on something like Unity, or why can't they convert the game to Unity engine, and that'll stop all these delays? And it's like,
that's a good idea. You should just reply going, that's a fucking good idea, mate. Let's add another 5 years to development and do it.
I just don't. There's just a big list when you got that.
And then when the other engine gets better, and then they go, oh, let's go back to that one.
Fucking ridiculous. Because you can't do that on the Unity engine. You can't do this on the Unity engine. Sorry, miss. Carry on.
Just build your own. Just build your own.
Build your own fucking engine and see how good it is.
That's which they've pretty much done. Make it custom to what you need rather than. Yeah. That's the best way to do it. That's what they do in films and other things. They just build the tools that they need to make shit happen. That was my thing. I just noticed it. I was quite interested because obviously the webpage had just been launched.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
I see immediate questions, asking some very simple questions.
Did I miss something? Oh, okay.
It was just all the questions on Reddit highlight. Nothing super big. It was literally the guy was asking about.
Pretty much what we said when the website first launched. The first thing I said is like, yeah, great, good job, except for it's still just as fucking confusing as it was the first time I looked at it.
I spoke to Mac about this. I said when I was up meeting him, and I said when I first took a look at the new website, it's still confusing. in some respects.
No,
It is.
it's not straightforward. It's not a case of like it is a little bit better in the sense that when you go fly now, it gives you the options, the two options that you should be presented with, rather than a $250 ship, which obviously people are like, hell no. So that is good. But like in my stream today, the people are asking. The one guy was asking, "How do I download the client? I can't see the. Why is it not so? You buy the package, boom, right in the middle. Download the fucking game without the fucking." And then you can download the game, and then you can get in. Why isn't it not that? Like,
or with the fucking, because how long it takes to download.
It's just the focus. The focus should always be explaining very clearly that what the game is. So this is the MMO using language that gamers have been using for ages. This is an MMO multiplayer online. What language they use. This is a single player game. This is a single player campaign rather than join the verse. Welcome to the adventure. Meaningless nonsense. Just keep it clean and tight. Or welcome to the single player adventure campaign, whatever. You can use it, but just make it so people understand it very cleanly. And then make it so that buying the game, the focus, it's clear, it's simple. This is what you get. This is what we do. These are the ships you can add to it. And this is what those ships are about within the verse. Keep it very clean. And then everything else can just,
Do I like the color scheme? The colour scheme's okay, but no, it's not for everybody.
We're resulting to, do we like the colour scheme? It's a good colour scheme, that's good.
The font could be updated, to be fair.
We're cursing the website, right? Yeah, we're cursing them down.
The thing is,
it's fantastic on this now.
They struggle to look at the game sometimes, I think, from a point of view where as if someone's never touched it or never even heard of it. And they do the same ways, and that's when they struggle with communicating to us through the patches and things and what they're giving, what's happening. And it's the same as their communication with new players to get them into the game. It's just they seem to struggle to get away from that, or just find someone off the street. Like, who is it, Madness or Max said he was going to get someone to just, you said you were going to get your brother, didn't you, Max? To just have a look at it and say, I'm not you told him a little bit about StarCitizen. Have a look at the website and tell me if you can find
who doesn't use the website
how to get the package.
Get your dad who's never even heard about it.
Yeah.
Get your nan.
Yeah, just get anyone.
Get anyone's nan.
That's not the website you need to be looking at. Hang on.
Get anyone's nan.
But
it's just
you get questions like that. It's like, I just bought a package. How do I download it? They're searching for 10, 15 minutes to find how do I go? And that's where it fails.
It should be intuitive. It shouldn't be.
And I don't mind going on to Reddit. The thing is I don't mind going on to Reddit and posting saying it's fucking there in a great big bold and it's really easy because you're an idiot and a moron and you should be reading properly. If it was genuinely that, but however, I'm sat there going, it's true. It's really bad. I'm so sorry. Feeling really bad. Like you're recommending this game. Like I had it today. Somebody came on and I'm trying to condense down the information as this is what you need to know. Buy this, buy this, buy this. And then we get on. Then just when I think I've nailed it, then you have to go into the conversation about insurance. And then you're like, we're going to be here for another 15 minutes trying to explain LTI, what LTI is, how you do the LTI tokens, why it's good, why it's not. Pulling my hair out half the time, just thinking, I need to.
Is that what's happening then? Is that why?
Now,
that explains a lot.
This is my natural hair. I've had this hairline forever. It's just like big widow's peak. It's just keep all the brains in. Actually, to be fair, it's just slowly receding. I think a bit more. StarCitizen going grey. So that's all Chris Roberts there.
I saw some greys today, and I love it. I want to go grey.
Don't mention me.
Wow. There's special websites for that, Mac, and it's got nothing to do with RSI.
Is it easy to use, that website?
Yeah, much easier to get into the hole. Right,
I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
I have a question for you guys, and it's to do with server meshing, lobby refactor, parallel network jobs, and network entry streaming.
You really saved this question for us because we have one people to answer this question.
Are you sure about this?
The first iteration of server meshing.
I heard great noise.
The first iteration of server meshing and related features are scheduled for this year. StarCitizen. This involves the server meshing, lobby refactoring, and parallel networking jobs and network entity streaming. So now, I'm not really expecting anybody here in the podcast to be able to explain this, but any of you clever people out there,
server meshing is what they've been talking about all along, which is basically having loads of multiple servers that kind of cross over, so that if you're in the same thing, you can still you could be on different servers but still kind of see each other or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a unified server, but using multiple
lots of
servers.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
So it
Lobby
puts
refactor.
people on.
Lobby refactor.
So
Lobby.
technically, server meshing should be our first iteration of seeing much larger instances rather than this whole smaller groups that you have to be pigeonholed into. So it'd be like one world sort of thing.
Yeah.
Lobby refactoring, which is probably to do with how you join join your friends, join the server.
Join the actual friends list, instancing all that.
Yeah, like party mechanics.
Party, yeah.
Parallel network jobs is basically getting networks and sticking them next to each other so they're parallel and giving someone that job. Just nod, agree, and we'll move on from that. And network entity streaming means that they're going to get more people streaming the game.
Okay. Anyone wants to give people the real version of those two last things, please follow, send an email, whatever, send me a message so I can. Yeah. I'm genuinely. I don't quite. If they could give me the pop-up version, I like the pop-up version.
Basically, Maddie, you want an engineer to email you.
Yeah.
You want to you want to.
So we just drop
I
Brian
want the
Chambers an
engineers.
email.
I want the engineer's kid to email me to send me the drawing and the picture version. Basically, I don't want the engineer because the engineer one will be I couldn't understand it. I want whatever. He's asked Daddy, "What does this mean, Daddy?" And then he's kind of drawn a picture for them. That would be me.
With fucking crayons or felt tip. There you go.
The next thing again, I briefly touched on it. So somebody was talking about turrets again. Do we know if turrets have been improved? I didn't get a chance to unfortunately use it. Myself haven't got a chance to use it in 3.0. From what I understand, this person mentions basically talks about other games like Battlefield and the stuff. He's saying that the turrets are much more responsive. He says he's very disappointed with the turrets. I agree. I think the turrets are something that they still need to work on. They're not there.
They've had issues with the turrets since they introduced them.
Have any of you played a game where it's got turrets that you feel work well?
I've not tried them since 3.0. I think I've
tried
tried one.
Have you tried another game, a different game?
Well,
Battlefield. Battlefield works perfectly fine. But that's not 6
boat
degrees
gunner.
freedom.
Yeah.
Well, the tanks.
Yeah, tank. Someone says the tanks, attack chopper. Someone said a tank, LAV, attack boat gunner.
So it's definitely possible. It's just that they're not doing it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if they're seeing the issues now, because when they first introduced them, they said in the internal build it was perfectly fine. They found them good. They found them responsive and working well. When they go into the actual game, like for us, they said they actually didn't. I don't think they recognized the problem at first, did they?
No, they didn't. They didn't recognise the problem at first. They thought it was all perfectly good, and then they got it. They started getting the reports. That's when they took notice.
So I haven't tried.
Maybe they're not very good with turret. Maybe they weren't. They're like, we still can't hit anything now. So that's normal. That's fine. That's expected. It doesn't matter. It's exactly.
They were more concerned at that point in time is where the turret pointed and where it shot, shooting the ship. Than the actual.
But is it got anything to do with the fact though that, like, say in World of Tanks and things, your tank's going along a flat or whatever field, so aiming the turret's got less movement, whereas if you're in a ship and it can go upside down and spin all the way around, trying to get a turret to work with that.
I think it might be, the 6 degrees of freedom might have something
causing
to do with
more
the
of an
reason why
issue
it's not
than
working.
than the standard.
Yeah, because obviously on like Battlefield, you've just got this. No.
Yeah.
You've not got the up and down, and then.
So we're saying rotation speed limitation, basically, to do with the rotation and the way that it's too quick. And like you said, you do have to. You have the issue. Obviously, is like in any situation, if your pilot goes to the left, right, you're getting an additional speed there, where it's like, oh my god, I've lost track of what's going on. It's always going to be hard, but if they're releasing ships like the Hammerhead, which are so heavy on turrets, they really need to get them looking.
What they need to do is allow the turrets to face in the exact same direction that the facing is, even though the pilot's turning. That is that is how it works. Yeah, well, pretty kind of. But whatever way you're facing in Battlefield, however way the Jeep's facing, the turret stays in the same direction that you're looking at.
So it's almost like separated from the vehicle, completely separate.
Pretty much. I don't know if they can do that. Yeah, so
that would be cool.
When you turn,
that would make sense.
you can actually you still aim, but this isn't realistic. This isn't really obviously if you're on a turret and you're firing, and then the car turns, you're gonna go in the same direction because you're part of the car.
Yeah, you can't control rolling because obviously if you roll, the ship.
I don't think it's. Now I think about it, it's not to do with the 6 degrees of freedom. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the turret being slaved to the vehicle's direction or point of angle. If the vehicle turns and you turn with it, you're gonna struggle firing. And that, I mean, they did have the smoothing, which was a problem, like the acceleration where the acceleration where if you started turning, it would speed up. That made it hard to finite aim. But I think if they could detach it in a way that wherever you're facing, you will stay facing until you turn, regardless of what the ship's doing. That should make it easier, but it's not realistic, and I don't know if that works.
The 6 degrees of freedom will interfere with that slightly, because obviously your turret can stay where it is, but as soon as your ship, say, comes up enough, your turret is going to obviously come in line with that ship. So it's got to follow it at some point, because otherwise it'd be out of the actual physical angle that the turret would be able to go in. It'd be like looking inside your ship still, if it tried to keep it where it was.
So is chat saying that it doesn't work like that in terms of whenever the tank turns, you turn, or are they saying that if the tank turns, you remain facing the same direction?
I think you remain facing the same direction.
Well, then why isn't that a thing in the game then? If that's possible already, you know?
Because they haven't done it. I don't know.
No, I don't think. I think when you turn the tank, you'd need to create. I don't know in the games, but you know, I'm thinking in real life, you'd have to create a system where you would detach, like on kind of like a ball bearing kind of system.
Yeah, like a gyro.
If the tank is whatever way the tank is,
or just go and ask the British. Go and ask the British Army, or go and ask the US Army about their chief. Is it the What's that?
Why not?
The
Sure, that's a
latest-
sound idea.
If it's already
latest-
working, then yeah, do it. You know, because
The
that's
latest-
make it better.
What's the latest tank in what's it? The Abraham? Is
It's
it the
a
Abraham?
tank.
No,
Abraham.
the,
Tank,
in,
yeah, the tank.
in the United States, it's the Abraham tank, which is the most
Plane.
most powerful
Very
tank
close.
in America. Yeah, the Abraham. Is it the Abraham?
Abrams.
Yeah, and it has the actual mechanism. Can go any 360 degree. The turret can go 300. Works well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like it's, what is it? 2-plane stabilized gun. Every modern tank, every modern battle tank has it. So
There you
yeah,
go.
if they can do that, then that
Do
would
it.
technically solve the issue. Yeah, just okay.
If they can do
CIG.
it, then freaking do it. What's the matter with you?
Do you know what?
I mean, I'm no expert.
Really interesting. I tell you what we'll do is I'll send an email to CIG. We'll see if we can get one of the people on who did that, and we'll have a chat with them. Because in my head, I'm all for like, I don't know if they do that, but yeah, it would make in my head it would make a lot of sense if you go and consult with experts in the field and say, you know, try and bring the technology or make a representation of that into the game. I would be curious to see because they talk a lot about the technologies that they're building, but there's a lot of information out there in the world of engineering that could be relevant for CIG to take on board. Like they did it with the chicken and the way that the head, the way that they did
Well,
the eyes.
they brought in experts about the universe and how to create.
Exactly. Exactly. So
about
maybe they're struggling.
scale.
They need to find someone who has spent 10,000 hours in a turret
Yeah.
and just ask their
Ooh.
opinion.
Actually, that's Mac. That's your new job now. You're going to be staying in your
Yeah,
turret.
Turret after you.
Permanently stuck in a turret.
Sounds like a fucking great job, to be honest.
Okay,
My next topic is
Your next topic.
visibility of targets. I don't know about you guys, but I had this today. I was doing a mission. One of the missions. They are very hard, like especially when trying to shoot. They're very hard to see. Once you get to about 600 meters and beyond, it gets really hard to be able to see. I mean, even the aurora's kind of tiny almost. Like I have to get to like 300 meters, 200 meters before I'm really able to see enough to be able to actually.
Are you talking about the actual targeting system where actually trying to
No,
lock on,
no.
or you're talking about the
Just
actual
visuals.
distance?
Just
Visuals.
visually, when you're visually trying to see the ship, because obviously everything's very dark. Space is very dark. The background's very dark now. They've added a lot of mooding, which I don't get me wrong. I think is fantastic. But what we've now ended up getting is like I mean, literally, if you painted a spaceship black, I mean, it would disappear almost. In the space, it's just so hard to see. And I know they want to bring combat closer. They've reduced in speeds, and they've done a lot of things to make it close. But even then, I'm like, literally, if you watch me stream this morning, I was losing people in like asteroids. Like the asteroids are black, and then you have the black, you just go black, and I just couldn't see anything. And the ship, then I'm smashing into an asteroid, and they just need to look at, I think, the visibility of the game a little
So
bit more.
what you would like to try and
everything.
help you then? You want a bit more light, but not too much to like spoil.
But yeah, you don't want the ships like
Yeah.
glowing fluorescent.
No.
No. But you want a bit more like, you know, I know
Maybe
space.
some sort of contrast, or maybe there's like just a way that we can just make the ships just stand out. I mean, I know it might not be necessarily real, but at the moment it's just almost, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And I saw this person post it, and I was in agreement with them. I think that they do need to look at it. I'm sure they will, and it will be iterated on. I just wondered if other people had experienced any.
I can only give you the opinion what I've been seeing in streams because I haven't physically played it myself. If there needs to be a bit more lighting, not on ships or even the surrounding asteroids, I don't know, the stars, whatever's there in space. If you can't see very clearly, then that's not going to be helpful.
No, I mean this comes into the overall brightening of the game. It's not like a case of putting headlights on the ship, is it? It's more like they said about the planets. They wanted to make the planets a bit brighter. Now, originally when I heard that, I was like, no, I like it dark. It kind of creates the atmosphere. But if you're traveling at hundreds of meters a second, like today, I was trying to navigate this asteroid to try and find a way in to find the target that I was trying to get to. And on the dark side, I couldn't see a thing. And I didn't know where the asteroid was. I could have easily crashed into it. Now, that does kind of play into, well, that's how life is.
Yeah.
But it's a game. They need to make it so that people can navigate easily.
Damn it, it's not a game, it's life.
Damn it.
When you go downstairs in the dark and you stub your toe on the door, you don't say, fuck's sake, let's lighten this door up.
No, but hang on. But it comes back to. But my point is that yes, you stubbed your door, and that was just stupid. But however, you do have a light switch that you can switch on and make everything bright. And also, this is like
not if your wife's asleep.
Well, in theory, this. Well, you got your phone.
And not if you don't want to be seen. Like, I don't want to. Someone shooting at me. I don't think. Oh, I wish they could see me better.
Yeah,
let's turn the lights on.
That's a choice. You should have the choice for both. But in terms of this is space, in terms of like, I look at it as this going. If this game was real and they like it to be real, and it's fidelity and really real. If I was building, I like to go. If I'm building a spaceship in this game, by how many hundreds of years, I'm going to know that the space is dark, and I'm going to be thinking of different ways of visors, visuals, whatever that I can switch on. You know, maybe I'm sending out a sonar, like in Subnautica, you can send out a sonar that gives you like a grid system around you. That's like, for a few seconds, it just goes like a pulse, and it sends out the information. It turns everything into a grid, so you can kind of pick out what's in there, and then disappears again. So that would be fine for me as well. It's just some way of being able to look at the
situational awareness.
Yeah, or a scanner in the corner that's constantly doing that, and it gives you a little 3D map or something in the corner to give you an idea of, you would build that. It would be built.
I don't know about the combat-wise, like a ship in the distance is a bit hard when you're in space to light that up, but I do agree, like, it's really stupid when you fly. Every time I fly in the dark side of the moon, I think my ship would have fucking fog lights on the front that just so light up the scene in front of me, because it's like, why on earth would I? Yeah, fog lights.
Yeah,
there's fog, and floodlights.
The big thing is, like I said, a typography, kind of a pinging system or something. Like I said, would like a sonar, which would kind of set something that's constantly sending radar information out to get you the topography in a 3D form.
Just stick a bat on the front of it.
But don't forget, this is
great feature.
This is kind of early on, isn't it?
I need the gentleman's room, the boys' room. I shall be back shortly. Thank you.
Take your mic
Carry
off.
on without me. You can all
Leave the
talk.
mic here.
Yeah.
Yes,
Leave the mic here.
Yeah, we won't go down there sending me naughty pictures, Mr. Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Won't be the first time. You've all been there.
We have. I thought I was the only one.
You are.
Okay.
I'm being betrayed.
What
So that's something I don't know about other people in chat, but I just think that they definitely need to think of a system to protect because of the darkness. I like the dark. Don't get me wrong. I just think there needs to be some options. So
no, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, we know they're working on the scanner, not necessarily for situational awareness, but for more being able a different technique for scanning ships and IDs and things. So potentially down the line, we could see something that helps with topography, helps with
hope so.
Because the mechanics will need it, especially if you're mining an asteroid and you're sort of floating around it. You don't want to just be like So where's the you
Mhm.
twat?
Yeah.
You know, they need to
Yeah.
make sure that it's
Yeah.
got some balance somewhere.
And if you're going inside as well, like again, it's just because I played Subnautica and they have it on one of the submarines, and it's so cool because it just sends out a like a kind of, it turns everything into kind of a mesh kind of grid. It shows you all the voxels and or whatever else. I mean, maybe they can't do it because it's not a voxel based game, but it just shows you the topography of what's in front of you, and I mean, it can be a bit confusing still, but it just gives you an instant idea of, oh shit, that's really close. I thought that was a lot further away than I thought it was. Oh, okay. Shit.
Usually when I get that in StarCitizen, I'm already bouncing off the planet.
Yes.
Oh shit, it's too close.
So
Yeah,
I think we've got 500. Boom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Our big sign. This is the backside of the. You're looking at the other side of the map, you fool. Would be fine too. Okay, here's the thing: overgrown landing pads. We could actually. I was going to say actually, yeah, we'll come to that later. Overgrown landing pads. So I don't know, Mac, you've noticed this as well, but have you guys seen how sometimes the landing pads seem to be showing the topography underneath coming through onto different things?
Like,
Yes, I wash my hands.
Yeah, yes, yeah. But it's really cool though because it looks like the landing pad's like iced over, and it kind of got me thinking that I was thinking if it's I don't think it's on purpose, but
You mean on yellow?
yeah, like on Yellow, and then like on other things, I've been noticing that the Earth seems to come through like some of the crash pads and stuff, and it makes everything look like it's overgrown. And they were talking about that fauna stuff, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a picture.
There was actually I'll try and find it now while you guys chat about whatever. But there was
Shut about
whatever about you
Well,
washing
last
your
week
hands.
I went down a pub, and I said no.
We're down the pub.
Like, so
There was
with
a
these-
concept art.
I thought you just said just to talk while you were going to get something.
No, I'll explain what it is first. Then you talk.
Right.
Then
Okay.
All right.
This is how it works, miserable.
Sorry, host. Sorry. Take over.
Okay,
Told
if you want
you,
to talk, go
fucking-
for it.
Now no one talks. Jesus Christ.
No, we're waiting for Mac.
There was some concept art from Squadron 42 about an overgrown location where it was like an office of somewhere, like an admin office, and there was trees and grass and things all hanging down, a bit like Last of Us style. It's really not that important. But
You sure you wasn't watching Ewoks?
No,
I was dreaming of Ewok.
When we talk about like ATV, where they talked about and some of the stuff they talk about it, but when they talk about fauna, but for me, it's really, I think it is important. I love the idea like if you left the game, for example, for a while and left your station that you built, and then you came back, it had become overgrown, and you had to clear it and repair it, and bring it back to, you can't just leave your station on a planet somewhere. Like if you own land, you can't just leave it there and expect to come back and everything's absolutely in tip-top condition.
Yeah, it would be very cool.
Isn't that their plan for their cities? Because of the economy, some cities and places are going to change because.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. You will see degradation in places where the economy has died off, and that is cool. But if in terms of your own planetary locations that you've built, I don't think that's possible. It's like they said, if you crash and adrift on a planet, will it turn into like a derelict ship that has already been like an artist-driven derelict ship? And that's not the case. So I don't think it will happen with with your locations that you've built, but there will be locations that are overgrown that will have a history of, this was once a thriving economy or whatever. And
so you've all heard about the ocean world then, I suppose. That's coming. The ocean world.
We're going to have, Chris Roberts wants to do underwater stuff, so we will be getting underwater stuff.
Underwater love.
Sorry,
Yes.
underwater stuff.
Let's get overwater stuff
Look
first.
at just look at Subnautica in like 3, and just do pretty much what they've done, and you'll be fine.
What I do like about this game is that they've gone from being just a space sim to literally competing
Planet
with
sim.
every single simulation game
out there.
Which, if they could pull it off, and I'm 100% sure they can, I'm confident in it.
Well, let's just take how much. Let's look at the progress from when you originally saw the original video, the launch for the Kickstarter, and to what it looks like right now.
Yeah, and that was what got me to play it.
Well, I look at it as like Grand Theft Auto, okay? Who knew that people could make a game like Grand Theft Auto? When Grand Theft Auto hit the scene, it was like, holy fuck, you mean you can live and breathe and walk around in a city and kill cops and do all crazy things? And like, you know, and then you can fly airplanes and you can ride motorbikes and you can jump on ski boats and swim underwater. I mean, my God, that game was just like unbelievable. Just like you can go shopping, you can go clothes, it was amazing. So who's to say why can't StarCitizen just do the same thing but for a massive universe? It's like, you know, why not?
Yeah,
so
no,
I'm like,
they can.
they can do it.
They understand how to do it. They understand that they need to be able to do that sort of thing. Fucking questions. What a lot of
Question mark. Just use question mark. It's so
Spelling it
simple.
wrong anyway.
It's one letter. You don't have to spell it. Exclamation mark. Question mark.
I don't know how. I must miss out the I when I'm typing somewhere.
No. Just exclamation mark. Question mark. Two symbols.
What a.
Oh. You don't even have to type question. You don't even have to type question.
You don't even have to type question.
Well, I learned that now. I know.
Oh my God. Anyway. Oh.
What was the question?
So yeah, with these landing, I knew someone was going to do that.
Well, overground. We're talking about like the overground landing.
That's
So
right,
do you think like we know they're showing that there's dead? Oh fuck me, dead degradation.
No thanks.
No, I know it. I'm trying to think of the word how to say it. Like the things are going to get like you're going to have like rusty outposts and stuff. Did they say that it's going to get like that over time, or is you just going to have some that are rusty and some
over
that are
time?
new?
And no, it'll go over time and the environment.
It will be locations that are preset by CIG. Like we've seen how they have the sliders. They've seen the sliders.
Crazy saying it all array, and Max like it'll be artistic.
It'll be like this. It'll be like that. It'll be like this.
It would be very cool if they could implement it so that whatever you create as a player using the Pioneer will start degrading over time. Have they said that they can do that?
They've talked about it. It'll weather. It's called weathering.
That's true. Oh, good point. Okay.
It will change color. It will change,
Yeah.
and weathering on. I'm like it's the whole system that this is the whole tools and stuff that they're bringing in. Again, this scalability of weathering effects. Potentially, you know, like I was saying, if you're going to be a weathering stations, weathering guns, potentially you're going to weather spaceships as well. I mean, who's to say? You know, I wonder at some point we will have to repair our spaceships because
they did say that was the plan as well.
Yeah,
that's the next patch, isn't it?
3.2, I think, wear and tear, isn't it?
Wear and tear's 3.2.
Yeah, so 3.2. Hang on, I may have.
I agree with you with this, maybe.
It's just getting mined. 3.2 mining will be the only thing that will be in 3.2.
Well, what they're saying is wear and tear on ship components and weapons.
Yeah,
so over time your weapons will degrade and look like old, but also they may misfire, which I was a little concerned about that. I've seen that done in a game before where it randomly misfires.
There's another occupation for you. Going back to the occupations, you just hire one of these gun
Master at Arms. Yeah.
Master at Arms. There you go.
I said that in the latest video, the 3.2 video that I put out. I you know when you go on the address for the Squadron 42 demo. And that guy is giving you the weapons. You could have someone on board who is happy to clean people's weapons and maintain them. Where if you're not,
who's going to be happy with that?
I'm sure I would be happy mopping the floors. Just
like, give me a weapon. I went to clean it.
So Max now gone from garbage disposal to cleaning weapons.
Weapon cleaner.
I've not gone from it. I do all. So I'll have a department for weapon maintenance. No, mate, you want to speak to me weapon maintenance in back. That's where you get.
And he runs to the next window and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm the one that cleans weapons."
Give him a couple of minutes. Hello, lad. How's it going? Give us your Yeah.
What do you think about these new guns they got for the concierge people and all that?
I love them because I get them. If I didn't get
I don't.
You love them because you get them.
Yeah. If I couldn't access them, I'd be really annoyed.
The gold spacesuit, the gold guns, the gold spacesuit outfit.
I made away.
You need away.
We commented on the gold stuff last week, Craig. Basically.
Did you? I do apologise. Yes.
We were no, it's fine. We were like, yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's
it's
cool.
just.
Well, someone commented on on the podcast on the YouTube saying that you don't get the F8 you can get the F8 Lightning thing after Squadron 42, but that was not actually what we were saying. The point was we thought you should get better rewards if you're chucking that much money at a game. It's kind of like, I'm the opposite of what most people probably think. It's not fair, but in my opinion, you're fucking spending that much. Yeah, they should give you something a little bit better than a shiny gold ship.
At one point, didn't they say every ship will be available to get in game? That's what they keep reiterating.
The F8 was originally they've got out of it by saying we get the civilian version.
It's not every
it's not
every ship. It's every ship that's being sold. You'll be able to get in game. So if they're not selling that F8 one, it's part of a reward system. Then you can get it as a reward. You're not selling it, so therefore you can't necessarily earn it.
Oh well, there's your dreams of owning my M50 yellow M50.
No. I know. I won't be able to get it. But then at the same time, if you think about it, with the ship customization, I'll probably just spray an M50 yellow, and then I'll be like, well, it looks pretty much the same.
I know what you're going to do with your spray can, mate. You're going to put a Hello Kitty on the front of it, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kitty Patrol. It'll be full Kitty Patrol. Will be out.
But that brings in a ship customization topic, but that's for probably another discussion, isn't it?
We'll deal with that one another day. But it's again, that's for tools, because they talked about. Well, we got stuff to talk about. We'll bring that in later.
Yeah.
This is just basically Reddit. Someone was talking about introduction. I don't know about you guys, but I literally was trying to chase Mac earlier to chase him down at Daymar. I got interdicted 3 times just trying to get to Daymar because I tried to skip one. I didn't want to fight them. I just tried to skip them, and I just kept getting interdicted, and then I just went, fuck it, I'm blowing them up, blew them up, and then I was fine. But I kept getting interdicted. It's really annoying. I was like,
twice during that stream I got interdicted, but I jumped straight away, and this was to Delamar, so a long way off. You meant Delamar, didn't you, I think?
That's the word, sorry, Delamar, the long one. Yeah, the long one.
So I jumped, I got caught twice, but then when I jumped again, I didn't get caught again. So I don't know if that's something to do with the balancing that they've got a bit fucked up there.
It's just random, is it?
I think it's supposed to be, but you
shouldn't really be getting interdicted 3 times in the same direction.
No, not if you jump away from them.
There's pirates all along that route.
Well, then you might have been literally flying down the pirate line. If you'd gone left a bit and then gone, you would have been fine. Yeah.
I could have been, but it was a bit. It's fine. I don't mind. I mean, I love shooting things, so it's not really a problem. But it was only because I was chasing. So it's because I was in a rush. It was a little bit like I've got to try and get to Max so I can board his ship.
You know what I liked though during that interdiction, or one of the interdictions, is the fact that it said it was an Aurora, and I got close to it, and it was a Cutlass, and I mean a Constellation. Now, was that them masking it, or was that just a glitch? I've never seen that before, so I assume
the pirate's not going to tell you what they are they?
No, exactly. So yeah,
we haven't got
masking. Would that be masking?
Faking sensors, pretending to be things. That's a whole nother kind of conversation.
That's happening. Really, we know it's happening, and they already use it. That's what we were. That whole Squadron 42 demo that we saw.
Love it.
We were supposed to have seen that type of gameplay where the scanners were supposed to detect, and they were supposed to have a dialogue that said, "Well, they're supposed to be dead by now. 150 years old. How is that true? How can that be them?" And they turn out to be pirates. So I wouldn't be surprised if 3.0.1 brought in this idea that they mask the tags, what they call them, red tags, by saying it's actually an Aurora, and you're like, right, let's go fight him, and you get in there and you're like, wait a minute, that's big.
Fuck me, these Auroras have grown. Did Manchester office get hold of them again?
I was literally fighting it face up, thinking, this isn't Aurora. And I would be shooting at it for 10 minutes.
Multi-crew Aurora. What's going on?
If NPCs, if the computer AI can do that, surely we'll be able to do that as well. Then.
Yes, that will be a thing where you will be able to mask your ID.
Identity. Yeah.
Obviously, if they're staring, if you're at like customs and waiting to go through, and you're like, yes, I'm a Polaris, and you're sat in an Aurora, they're going to be like, something isn't quite right here. Step out of your ship.
Yes, I am flying
it's going to be a web of. It's going to be a shit. It's going to be a game of lies. Everywhere I look, it's going to be Polarises flying everywhere. There'll be little Auroras. I'll be like, that's not a Polaris. That's not a Polaris.
That's a great mask. I'm a Polora. You figure out what I am. Either way, I'm not lying.
Take selfies.
The power of slur. That's what happens. You start to slur your words, and everything starts to go wrong.
What we didn't see was him.
This podcast is brought to you by slur.
Slurring your words gets you drunk. No. By the way, if anyone wants a job,
that much left.
Game player. Oh my god! If someone wants a job, CIG are hiring for a gameplay programmer. A gameplay programmer. For me personally, this slightly concerns me that we're 5 years in that they're hiring for a gameplay programmer. But, you know, you'd like to think they'd have figured that might have been an important
Somebody
thing to
could
get
have left.
a bit earlier on. I know. I'm just joking.
I think there's more
It's
than
a
just
joke.
one.
Damn it.
They're
I
always
was hiring
hiring
sarcastic and it didn't work.
Ruined the joke. But it wasn't a very good one, to be fair. But no, so if anyone is there, good dream job, CIG. Yeah, there's one available. I've got a link. If anyone wants it, we can post it up.
Madness. We have
yeah.
a link of you getting splattered.
Yeah.
Apparently you bled out though. Apparently I bled out. But...
Dude, I bled out, mate. Unfortunately, it's not as glorious as you thought. Basically, as I was doing all my big jumps, I kept crippling my legs every time, and then eventually I started to bleed out. And then you just happened to be standing on top of me, or flying on top of me when I died. But it looked good. It looked
I don't
good.
believe him
It
at
looked
all.
very
I don't believe it.
No,
That
bullshit.
literally squished him. There's no way you just let that.
Like, yeah, well, I was bleeding out anyway.
Yeah, you didn't get me.
But it looked good, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was fun. It added a bit of spice to your stream, which was
Mate, that was
a lot of fun.
hilarious. At first, I was actually really annoyed that someone stole my, you know, like my usual self kicked in. I was like, you fucking bastard.
Right.
And then I thought, oh wait,
He's
I'm
standing up
streaming this,
there.
that's quite funny.
Look, he's standing up there. You can see him. He's still standing.
Yeah.
What?
Flat.
And then suddenly,
Yeah.
face
Don't
planted by
give me
a
that
cutlass.
bleeding out rubbish. He got.
I was literally going like the screen was all grey.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I couldn't have bled out.
We believe you thousands wouldn't.
Lies.
It looks good though, doesn't it?
Kissed by a
You
cutlass.
did get splat, whether you like it or not.
I love the fact that I just like shot straight under the
Yeah. You're like,
it's
okay,
so
my
awesome.
people need me. Bye.
It was quite funny. It was very funny. But yeah, a railgun
Right.
would have been desperately needed at that moment. That's what I was hoping for, a railgun.
Yeah, I
A
couldn't pick up a
rail
weapon.
gun.
Okay, so everyone wants a job. Basically, yeah, there is a job going for CIG. And the best taxi in StarCitizen. What is everyone's opinion? What would be the best taxi? The 85X?
The tax.
No, because you're side by side. It needs
What's
to
the
be
best
something
taxi?
that's retrofitted. I don't think you can have a ship currently that is a good taxi. It needs to be more of a retrofit with
Reliant.
maybe a green.
Because they're sitting next to you at 1 minute, then they're underneath you. It's like...
They're bringing transport systems in, but I don't know when they're bringing them because they're
Well,
gonna
I
have
suppose
monorails.
it's got to
They're
be
gonna
the
have-
cargo, the Argo, isn't it? Surely,
the
it's
Argo
got, it's got a
would,
sit, it's
but it
got a
can't
passenger
jump,
thing
can
in
it?
the back. Well, no, it
No,
can't
the
jump,
Argo
but-
can't jump. No.
Yeah, but it's still
the
it's a
hot
taxi.
line, yeah,
no, he
the
didn't say
Argo.
It's a taxi.
jumping,
It's a taxi. So we think the Argo is going to be is the best taxi.
Argo personnel
That makes
certified,
sense.
yeah.
Oh,
Argo
yeah,
for
okay.
the win.
I'll go for now, but to be seen.
Well, they
I
used it for
reckon
the
they'll get a
stars,
completely
the
different
prisoners.
ship.
You think? Yeah, okay.
There's going to be
and
low
then, sorry.
board ships coming out next year that people don't know about. So,
Like
The
what?
last
Like what?
The last thing I'll add later. I'll add that into the questions.
Keeps mouth shut about what's coming next year.
What is coming? Shh, no one's listening. Just tell us.
Yeah, no one's listening,
Go
right?
on. It's fine.
Big stuff's coming.
Big stuff. Is that a wrestler?
No, big stuff is coming.
Is your other name Sherlock?
Who?
Because no shit, Sherlock. Big stuff's coming. What do you mean? Every
Oh,
year
come on.
there's big stuff.
Oh yeah, big stuff's coming.
Big stuff coming. That's
Yeah.
so
With a
vague.
sprinkling
That
of
could-
little stuff.
That could be. That could be.
Sprinkling of little.
You could be employed by CIG. That was so vague.
They're fake anyway. CIG are fake sometimes with
Right, we've got like 10 minutes
Post.
to squish in
What?
around the verse and
Really?
ATV.
Oh, can we go longer?
Do it.
Let's do it. Let's do this.
And then let's get to questions.
So, are you ready?
Yes.
Villain Effects team, they were focused on Squadron Effectable Slice. AI team were very productive. The lighting got done. The weapons were worked on. No, sorry, go on.
Reverse the verse. Reverse the verse. Well, they discussed obviously the insurance replacing stolen ships. Chris Roberts obviously says that it was taken out of context. And Chris Roberts wants us to do that.
That was
so
last
that's all
week's
garbage.
Reverse the Verse, by the way. Or did you update it?
Buying the ships. No, this is the new one.
Oh, this is a new one. Okay, cool.
This is new one. This is the new one. They kept talking about it because it was such a big thing. I think with the piracy
Right.
thing,
Brian Chambers and Todd Pappy.
they wanted to reiterate on it basically. This was with Todd Pappy and Brian Chambers. It was actually really good. I enjoyed actually watching it. Buying the ships, using AUEC.
You don't get to keep them.
Yeah, the main reason they said that they're holding this back, which was nice to have a bit more clarification on this, was to do with the kiosk.
Right.
And the way that kind of technology is kind of coming in. So he said it's firmly on the LA team's backlog of things to do. So
Yeah,
they're
so
working on optimizing first.
Go and earn yourself Alpha UEC in the game, but be warned, if you go and buy a ship in-game with Alpha UEC, it's not going to stay there.
No.
Well, you know that it's the same as the actual alpha
Yeah.
credits aren't staying there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you thought it was going to keep it, I mean, so I've already seen people moaning that their progress has been lost in the latest update because it wiped. But yeah, I mean,
That's part of the game, tough shit.
just a
That'll be
little
an
warning.
alpha.
A little warning now. There will be many wipes.
Many,
Don't play if you
many,
think
many
they're going to
more.
build up your thing till end game. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, don't get precious about that money. That's for sure.
My honey.
It's going to go. The launching the Merlin out of the ass of the Connie is still not going to happen because docking isn't working, and they
Wow.
still haven't managed. They've got other priorities. So
That's gotta
docking.
be.
This is again.
That's
this is
one
the
of
whole
the
sea.
longest mechanics that they kind of at least seem to have been working on that haven't managed to get it done.
Yeah, I think when we see the
keep
truck
putting it
stop,
back.
we will start seeing them work because obviously they've got to get truck stop working first before they can start implementing docking of big ships because we don't have the big enough ships anyway to dock. So there's no docking ships in the game other than the Idris, which is, I suppose, working. But they'll use the Idris, the Javelin, they'll dock at the truck stops, and then they'll use that as a way of working on that. Because it also goes for the Caterpillar as well. The Caterpillar module needs to detach and be separated, and that's not ready yet.
But you know,
Yes.
like when you land now, if you use auto landing, like you hold F down and it pulls you in, lines you up, and sits you down. Now, didn't they say they were going to do that for things like inside the Cutlass, so you can select the landing pad inside the Cutlass, and then it would pull you in and land?
I
Is that
hope
not
so.
what because I don't know because I don't create the game, but it would think to me that they could make that system so that you can't manually land it and get it working that way. But if you could just lock onto it as if it was a normal landing pad and then hold down on auto landing or engage auto landing, it pulled you in, matched all the speeds and everything else and just did it for you, like on rails, rather than you actually flying
It
in
would
or
be
dock
good.
it itself.
Then if your friend suddenly decides to start going like this, or your not friend if you're trying to dock inside someone else's ship, how would it just instantly? It wouldn't be able to instantly simulate that because it's being created by a player at random. So it could start to simulate it and start fucking.
Well, if
flying
you
around
imagine
and
that there was an invisible solid path, so that if that moved, you would move with it. It's like linked onto it, sort of thing.
But how can you determine that solid path from someone?
Because once
randomly
you
moving their ship?
lock into it, so like that's the whole thing of auto landing now, isn't it? You kind of lock into it when you get to a certain
because
point.
the landing pads don't move.
Yeah, but you
landing
lock.
pads can't
Yeah,
move.
but you still lock
I
into
just-
that. If you
Can I
imagined it
just
was
move us
moving,
on
you would lock
a little
into
bit
that.
before we get stuck on this because they're not working on it and they've got higher priorities. But if you guys want to carry on and solve the problem for them, you go
I'm
ahead.
going to
Let's
solve
just
it
go
for them.
over to
We're going to
Discord.
send them this podcast. Job done.
Mate,
Next month we will have landing on ships.
we've sorted all
Yeah,
sorts.
CIG,
Turrets,
CIG.
landing
Turrets.
pads.
The only thing I would say is if we make it fully automatic, Miz, we won't be able to do an Interstellar style with the music kind of like manually as we're crashing down, trying to kind of like get it to dock in, which would be a shame. So, but I hear what you're saying. I think you're spot on with auto. In my opinion, I think making it automatic is a great shout. Procedural tech. What's next? Levski and ArcCorp. Planet working. Object container system is holding back. Mainly lore of moons and the fauna is being worked on. Fauna in-game alpha or prey, which I thought was amazingly cool. So this is where they're talking about fauna having a life cycle or like a day pattern, which it will follow. It'll be interesting to see how much with subsumption and true AI, how random this is. Hopefully it's not just, on rails like all the time. It just goes the same place, does the same thing all the time. It would be cool if it had a bit more random nature to it. Not necessarily easy to do because most things anyone knows in life have patterns and things become pattern and based, but it would certainly be interesting to see how that works. So that's really Really cool. That's really cool. What do you guys think about that?
I just feel it may be really cool, but it's just like, is it another game mechanic that shouldn't be worked on right now? Does that make any sense?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's been worked on. It was just more of the case of they do plan for animals. To have their 24-hour cycles.
Yeah.
Like usables, so they'll have their own usables like drinking water, feeding, hunting. Behaviors as well will be a certain thing, and so all these need to be created. So, like when you look at NPCs, they'll have their own life cycles. The animals will as well, so you'll be able to observe them in the wild and watch them. Yeah, it'll be very cool. I love that. I love, like you say, the fidelity in just animals is cool.
Fauna.
Hey, Miz, look, Nick, CIG saying about fake docking. Just this answered it for you, right?
fake docking.
I thought that's what they said was going to happen, though. I thought because they said that it would be impossible to have, like Max saying, a ship that's flying up and down and all over the place. It would be impossible to make it so that a player could pilot and dock inside it. I thought that is actually what they said on one of the ATVs. That's how they were going to do it, so that you could automatically lock in and dock in automatically. Like, why shouldn't it's not fake docking, is it? It's like, why shouldn't you have we got automatic landing on pads? Why shouldn't that be in ships?
I think it's fine. I think
it's not fake
people
docking,
are
is it? It's just
people are going to be doing it, which I think would be really cool to watch.
I certainly wouldn't want to fucking fly. I can't even land on a normal static landing pad. Why the fuck would I want to try and land in the back of a Cutlass while someone's flying it? Let's face it.
Like,
I want all those.
But people will try it. People will try it, and I think
they're all in the back of my ship going, "Tip, I miss the landing pad's not moving." And I'm going, "What it fucking is to me?"
Okay, and then the next thing they talk about is the fog and lighting. Now they've done a pass, and they continue this again. This is the level of detail these guys go to. They keep improving on the lighting. When you think it looks really good, they just keep taking it to another level, and you're just like, oh my god, that's incredible. And I mean, it was on ATV as well, which we'll show later. But it just talks about how they just keep improving on the lighting. And we were talking about earlier. So I expect the lighting will be improved for us to be able to see things. The atmosphere is incredible. Star Marine capital ship maps.
Hang on. Can I just? There's something I picked up on earlier, which it was the question in between that, which is to talk about the flora and fauna at certain planetary level of details, which I think is a very important thing, especially in games like PUBG. I love PUBG, but the problem is everyone, like World of Tanks, they turn the graphics down to the minimum.
Sorry.
And you could be sat there in a bush thinking, "Dickhead didn't see me," but you're sat there alone in the middle of nowhere. Now, I think they need to have something implemented where everyone has the same level of detail feature. So if someone is hiding in a bush, they cannot be seen. Rather than someone just thinking, right, let's slide it down to 0, you're exposed.
The answer is, I have it up here. It's to do with Scum. And they're basically doing a system, the game, where it's to do with camouflage. Now, it's in the yellow section, but it's freaking cool. Basically, the idea of how you can't see things. Their camouflage system, I've got the link, I can drop it in. Don't want to put it on stream now because we'll talk about Scum at another day.
I'll take it off then, shall I?
It's an audio. But you can watch it. No, you can watch it if you want to. You can watch it. Yeah, no, leave it on. It's fine. You can watch it. But this just shows you what he can see. See, he can see that guy there. But this is they're answering the problem of like if people dial down their foliage so they can see people. And this one you can't see. They're hiding in the bush. Then they stand up. They can see it. It's quite technical. Scum's doing some amazing technical stuff that I've never seen before, and they're really pushing tech. I'm pretty sure CIG are well aware of this, and the game guys watching. But like you can see the camouflage here, like the way the guys are hiding in the bushes. You can't see. There's like 9 people in this picture. But probably.
I mean, that's good. But you're up close and personal with them. There's no depth though. Like if you're at a certain distance. Like it's all fair and good in like a forested environment where there's everything's covered. But if you're at a distance looking at a horizon and someone's hidden in a bush, and at a certain distance that bush disappears because someone's turned the graphics down, then the person's exposed.
But this is what I'm saying. Like the Scum guys, they've kind of like been trying to figure out how to fix that type of problem. You have to read it. It's a technical thing. They talk about it. I'm not super techie on it, but it's well worth watching the actual video of they explain how they've been working on it to stop it being a problem, Max. So you can't, no matter how much you dial down the foliage information,
Okay.
You still can't see the
camouflage
people.
works.
Yeah, they still camouflage. They're still camouflaged. Only when they physically pop up and become like what would be visible to you. Yeah, until
But that's
they
to
pop
do with
up
the
and actually
camouflage
are-
they're wearing, though, isn't it?
No,
So-
oh god, I honestly,
Okay,
I would.
we won't talk about
I
it
need
because
to know more about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
There's
need to
ways
do
of
more
doing
into
it.
it. It's on the.
we'll
It's
research
on my
it more
section
and then
to
we'll
talk
come
about
back to that
later.
one.
Yeah, no, that's good. I want to say it was a concern. I'm sure.
I think it's something that can be addressed. Like I don't know in PUBG, like if like they allow you to do that graphics slider and turn it all on, like they could potentially stop you from doing that by just not giving you that slider.
Giving you the option, yeah, exactly.
Like like the whole point of StarCitizen, they said they want it high fidelity, high graphics, and so they might not want you to turn down the graphics too much, just so it works on a different PC. That was the whole point of having a slider normally, so that you can work on an older rig. Whereas they've already said that the whole point of this game is that it's meant to be good detail, and therefore you may well need to have a good PC to run it. So they could restrict you by stopping you turning those things off.
From what I was understanding, Mac, as well, from what they were talking is that, at the moment when you fly to a planet, you get like, it kind of pops in, as the graphics.
Yeah, the level of details. Yeah, LEDs.
I think that was the point. Well, the point was that who's to say that you could be standing behind a rock and then you pan at your ship that's like 100, 200 feet in the air. He can see you because that level of detail hasn't been rendered in.
Yeah, the rock's not rendered, but you are.
Yeah. But you are, so like they can see the javelin or whatever, but they could physically see you in the ship, and they could tell their mate on the ground saying, "Yeah, he's 100 feet in front of you."
Behind that stupid rock that ain't rendered.
Because it's far enough, you can still zoom in his ship, but he's, I mean, you should be able to see anyway. I mean, there's all different kind of game. We could be here for hours on this stuff. But the rendering process is something to think about. Definitely, 100%. I think they're aware of it. They talked about it. So. They definitely don't want it to be a cheat that people use.
Yes, no, true. Unfortunately, they didn't address it directly. They just said about textures and materials being the best they can make them. But yeah, they didn't answer that question as such.
Yeah.
God, so using capital ships for Star Marine was, I think, the next one you were talking about.
No, yeah. Sorry, I mean, that was a good point. I had it written in there. It was a good one, but I just missed it.
Rude.
Yes, missed my own points. Crazy. Do all the work and I just miss my own work. The capital ship. So Star Marine capital ship maps. So they were just saying how it's not a priority, and as far as I can tell, they talk about, but it's not. I personally don't think it's going to happen. A lot of people want it to happen, but I don't.
You've just broken Ryan's heart with saying there's no good.
No, I think Star Marine AC can wait. The fact is, the PU, the Squadron 42, is a priority. Building a game within a game is not priority. Building a game is priority.
I don't honestly think they really, like, when they said your Star Marine is in the PU a while back, I think that's kind of what they wanted. They wanted people to just jump in and engage in the PU and do that as FPS. And then when people kept moaning, that's what I think pushed them then to go back and work on Star Marine a bit and give people that game mode. But I think realistically, they want people in the PU, and so I think it's not going to get attention.
At the end of the day, if you see what there is now, like the Star Marine section, the other section that's there, and you've got the PU, at one point, those sections of the Star Marine and that other bit is not going to be there. It's all just going to be in the PU. Do people realise
Well,
this?
they're still going to have the game modes, but they are going to have those game modes, but they're not. The sideline game modes, and so they're not really what they want to work on. That's not what they're not selling Squadron 42. Yeah. Like they now said that Squadron 42 will come with Arena Commander and Star Marine, so they are going to be consistent game modes now. However, they're not selling you Star Marine and Arena Commander. They're extras. No. So that's why they're going to be on the back burner right to the end before they start. They want to get everything else done first, I think. So.
Yeah, if you've got staff that are doing that can make levels and doing all that kind of stuff, what would you rather them do? The PU stuff or doing a map for Star Marine? I know some people go, I want Star Marine. But the truth is, what's more important right now is,
their game, which is StarCitizen and Squadron 42.
Yeah. The next one is someone was mentioning about key bindings. I think he's going to answer this one later, but to do with mouse and keyboard, which was really cool on the MFDs. rather than the mouse and keyboard. They were just wanting to do more key bindings. They said that they're going to work on this stuff. Again, the reality is they changed their key bindings like more than I changed my socks.
Every patch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every
So
patch.
I just don't get precious about it. That's why I try to stick as close to whatever they give me, whatever patch, and just try and adapt around it, because it's just so much hassle getting.
Because there's like key bindings for mouse and keyboard. There's key bindings for joystick. There's key bindings for this, that. But then you've got your on ground, i.e., you as a person walking around key bindings, and then you got your ship key bindings. It's
well, yeah, but that's what happens when you try to get a game of all games. That's why.
They will change from now till the game is released.
Yeah,
there'll be so much change to the key bindings.
The next thing they talked about was the difference between light, medium, and heavy ships. I was kind of like, when that question came on, I honestly was like, really?
Like, how did you ask it? How did you get this question submitted? It's self-explanatory.
I was like, really? Okay, so move on. The next one was Lawville and water, and then how will there be fauna in water? So they talked about water, so we will have water. They did, but there was quite interesting. They did say that it might not necessarily be H2O, so it might not be water that we
I
have.
like that little.
It will be It will be liquid based rather than H2O. So
it's gonna be
that was kind of cool. So
gelatinous cube.
Yeah, gelatinous cube, or maybe it could be mercury. You know what I mean? Like mercury floating around. That'd be really
anything.
Like high gloss.
Could be absolutely anything, because you got the mining. You got
xenomorph blood.
Because
lava.
What's coming up soon? You got mining mechanics, yes?
Yeah.
There you go. You just have to think. Well, what can you mine?
Who knows what you were trying to say?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? We're going to mine some water.
No,
mining water, harvesting water. Well, you're going to want to harvest water and ice for sure. I mean, that's got your water content in it as well. So
just give me all the diamonds.
Diamonds. Give him the diamonds.
Diamonds are nothing. It's going to be water that you're going to need to buy.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So anyway, so they talked about water. I mean, water is going to be a thing at some point. So good stuff.
It already is. Yeah, they got it. They're working on it, aren't they?
And this was interesting. Now, this was again we were talking a little bit earlier about Reddit, people complaining about the daylight and stuff, and not being able to see stuff. Somebody, again, one of the questions was where people were asking visibility through the EM spectrum, so X-raying and IR and night vision and all of these things. Again, they said that, like Tony said, that he wants to have different EM spectrum visibility. So we could get X-rays. I mean, again, it would make sense.
So you're telling me we had a 20-minute debate at the start of the podcast, and you had the answer here for us that they're going to do different things.
Well, I mean, seriously.
So what we got? So Tony says is that the EM spectrums will be visible. Like they do want to do it. So X-raying. If you think about it, for a medical profession, it makes sense to have the ability to have X-rays and to be able to see X-rays. So that makes sense. And then,
you go back to Ryan's question, where he's hiding behind a rock.
X-ray behind a rock. That would be a cool scope.
He'd be like, "Oh, he's wearing." Okay, fair enough.
He's wearing nothing.
He's wearing nothing.
But I think then they talk a little bit about it as well, about attachments and site mods for weapons. So they said, again, it all depends on once they've got the technology implemented, then they can just do it, like changing screens and stuff.
Yeah.
Then comes nightshade goggles, nightshade equipment, X-ray vision, all that stuff. Yeah.
So it's not there yet, but it probably I would say it will be there because they'll need some of it for other things. And then they talk about toilets to log out, which was quite funny.
Toilets to log out.
I didn't even include that. I just thought.
How did that become a question now?
I don't think that was someone being funny.
That's how
hacking in ships.
Hacking.
The plan is to work. So basically, this will work early. They said they got early sprints on power stations, minigame, but nothing's really dug into yet. So again, the thing I got from Reverse to Verse is these guys talk more about stuff and don't actually do anything than we do in StarCitizen podcasts. Honestly, I swear to God, they don't actually need to go to work. They can just come and sit on the podcast.
I mean, what have you got now? You can lock your ship and turn the power off, yeah?
Yeah, you got light. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just saying right now, but at some point you're going to have key cards. You can have locked doors, internal bulkhead doors, all areas that could be sealed off, which need security access, which you can give to your friends. This is all down the road. What they've been saying.
This is what item 2.0 brings: is you can control the lights, the gravity, the life support. Everything on board a ship can be controlled at a certain station. Now you will be able to hack into that if you're boarding and try and play around with it. But obviously, if you're boarding and someone, so if you board into a room and then they turn off gravity to that room, the boarders will have a bit of difficulty trying to then EVA to the thing. So hacking will be a part of it as well. And they did talk about breaching in terms of hacking as well, in the fact that you've got the main way of getting into a ship, which is blowing off a door, blowing off a turret. Now that's the loud way. You will eventually be able to hack and find your way into a ship silently. But I don't know if there's going to be systems on board a ship that will say
in the wind.
Yeah, it's like, hey, wait a minute, we have a breach somewhere which has been hacked, but they could hack the systems that would tell you that potentially. So
or hack it so it doesn't look like it's been breached, and then you go in, so it looks like all systems are fine. That'd be cool. Yeah, that
is a whole mechanic itself that needs to be robust and rounded for it to work. So yeah, there's a lot coming in hacking.
I'm going to skip the tree stuff because we'll talk about an ATV and then I can come back to it for reference. They talk about dangerous planets, and they talk about environmental hazards like lava and things. Well, if they're talking about liquid substances, lava makes sense. That could be something that they have in game quite early, which is pretty cool. They talked about crashing into
pretty orange water. It burns.
Yeah, exactly.
Drink it.
I'm so curious.
It's hot in here. At least there's some water.
But you can actually
even worse.
You can actually go and check right now. You can actually go and check on the what's it? The map inside? Is it what's the map inside?
Star map on the website. I mean,
Star map on the website. You can actually go to certain systems, solar system, and actually check the moons or the planets and it will actually tell you it's a lava planet or it's too close to the thing, or it's environmental. You won't be able to land there. It actually gives you a description.
That's cool. Like hazardous areas, sort of.
Hazardous. I mean, it does give you that information, but there's not much in.
Yeah, it needs to be a bit more fleshed out still, doesn't it? Yeah, as to.
Well, yeah, and you're going to have planets. You know, when you think about this planet, we have so many different types of environments, and
correct,
like environmental. It's lava in one place, and we have exactly biodomes, all over biomes and stuff. Very different talking about environments.
Are we talking about plants as well in this section?
We'll talk about it in ATV because we've got pictures, so we'll talk about the plants.
Oh, is it?
We got pictures.
He has pictures. He's gone pro.
We'll talk about. I'll bring it all. We'll talk about it all then.
Yeah, cool.
And then someone was asking about what are the plans for Star Marine. So getting rid of electronic access and having rec in the game. Blah blah blah. Different different game modes and stuff has been done. Lots to do fixing FPS and 0G, which is kind of like quite interesting. But they're talking about not having too many different game modes. Sorry, art and stuff like that.
It's the sort of thing. It's like someone asked about battle royale mode, and it would be cool, like capture the address battle royale. But obviously, there's no need to develop Arena Commander and Star Marine now.
Yeah.
It's already in the game. They originally wanted those two modes to use as to develop the FPS in the ship.
Yeah.
There's no point because we have it in the verse already. So leave that aside, get it working in the verse, and then they can just put it into Arena Commander and make that a separate game within the sim pod. There's no need to put it in there now.
And then I think the thing I'm most excited about, I'm going to skip, there's a few things here I think are just kind of repetition really. The service beacons. So this is kind of cool because this is us being able to create gameplay mechanics. And they were talking about one of the main goals, ability to transfer funds. So, they seem very keen, and Tony as well, to try and at the moment they'll have the distress beacon in, and that's like a fundamental thing. But I think the idea of being able to transfer funds again is this, like adding these tools, these scalable tools that we can use for many different things. Not just it comes in as beacons, but they're thinking about how it can be from many different things rather than just one thing, I think is fantastic. So very excited about that. Very excited.
We're going to have to determine what they're going to use as a beacon, because we've got these comma rays right now. So why aren't they using the comma rays for?
It'll most likely, if it's a personal beacon, it could just be your Mobiglass as the beacon. Or you may have to set up a small device as
See, there's a difference. I mean, if it's a personal beacon, I can understand you can lay down personal beacons here, there, everywhere in the verse. But then if they got their UE may have them, or the actual game, you see where again, why aren't they not using the beacons? Why don't they just use the comma rays?
Logic.
For transferring money.
No, I don't know. Yeah. No,
well, I mean, you've got I mean, if you think about size, because you're thinking about carrying around beacons and stuff,
never need to think about size here, mate.
The size is going to be.
All I can see problem with these beacons, I can see multiple player beacons going and they're just going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
I guess the size of a beacon would determine its range of beaconage. So, like, you could stick a small beacon on a planet that will submit a beacon to a certain radius or diameter.
I mean, would you imagine? You had I don't know, 5,000 people just put a beacon.
Could you have it on a different frequency so that you'd have to actually go to scan for personalized beacons? Therefore, you would only see them if you were looking at.
That would be cool, because they did say that you'll be able to submit your beacon to either friends, org members, non-criminals, or anyone.
Yeah.
There'll be different filters that you can use.
So you just literally flick through, so you don't get tonned unless you want to. Yeah.
There should be gameplay where people,
we have
like pirates, can scan for beacons. Because then that would be like, you're not always safe. If you plant a beacon and say, I just want friends to find this, that would submit it to friends. But people should. That would be a cool game mechanic if pirates can scan for those.
I think it would be more. Do you know? I think it would be more the other way around. You submit a beacon, and that just broadcasts to everybody, and then it relies on your friends, because they're linked to you, can then find it by, like you said, selecting the. If you imagine, like in an MMO sense, you select the friends tab, and then it shows you your friends' beacons. But that beacon can be picked up by anybody. So if you then went, I want to see all beacons in the area, it would pick up everybody's player beacon. So I don't think, instead of actually being able to hide your beacon just for your friends.
I don't think you should automatically be seen by everyone. I think people should have the option to scan for a beacon and then find you.
The only issue I have is just imagine 5,000 players and they're all going to put down a beacon at the same time. There's 5,000 beacons now just littering the entire.
Well, I would have thought if you're in a group, one of you would be like, right, let's just get a beacon down, and you'd be like,
they might have a lifespan. Crazy.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
I just don't want to see if I fly my ship or I'm going in my Ursa rover and I come, oh crap, there's 5,000 freaking beacons in front of me. That's the only issue.
I don't think you'll see that.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see them, or they won't be.
Like Miz says.
Yeah, they won't be like big like a station. They're going to be little things that you probably can't even. Yeah, you might not even see them. I don't know.
And they'll have a range as well, I'd imagine as well. You're going to have a certain, a comma ray is a huge freaking thing. That's going to be sending out a huge amount of information over a great distance, whereas a small beacon.
Like you imagine like a Medipen. Like if that was flying in space, would you see it?
Maybe not, but would
if
you
it was giving off a signal, then yeah.
But
no, you wouldn't physically necessarily see it, would you? But it could give. That could be your beacon. That could give off the signal.
Yeah, it won't be.
You wouldn't see loads of them in front of you flying through it until it hits your windscreen and smacks it and then cracks it.
And it would give you. I think it's definitely an interesting one. It's like, I hear what Cray's saying about having too many beacons. I think I agree with Miz. I think it will be a system where they've already got in place where you can pick up missions. It says personal. Potentially underneath personal, it would say beacons, friends beacons, or whatever. Like, I think it could be that kind of a system where you put it in place. I think it'll be interesting to see, like I said, how they're going to work on the range. Can the comma rays, do they effectively pick up on beacons and then rebroadcast them like a signal and then send them to other places so you can kind of, like a booster, basically, signal booster to be able to, because otherwise it's like no one's, if I'm on Delamar or, Delamar or whatever, and you shouldn't really know that I've dropped a beacon there unless, you should know if you're in Port Olisar because it's a fucking long way. A little beacon shouldn't really be sending off a signal unless they've built it in that the comma rays are picking up and then boosting the signal. That's the only way I could think about it. Would be. It's kind of, I've always found it a bit weird the way that the missions work and the beacons, the black box, I guess, they know the last location of the crash ship. So that's where you get the mission. So then that's where they say this is the last location. Then you have to get within the area, and then the signal gets picked up with the beacon. So,
I mean, they could use that system, but hopefully you can see my point. It's just like I don't want.
No.
I know what you mean. You mean like if you remember like MMOs when there's a trade hub. And there's just like thousands of players and all their name tags over the head, and you can't. I've seen it in Black Desert Online. You just see it, and you go to someone.
That's what I'm worrying about. I'm just worrying about if I can go into an area, I'm gonna go. What the hell's this?
Perfect timing there, Ray. You might cut out.
Yeah. No, it's alright. But we get your point. Yeah,
we get what you're saying.
We get your point, mate. We get your point. It's a good point. It's definitely interesting to see.
If a Starliner goes down, and then everyone's like, right, I'm going to start my beacon going.
Emergency beacon.
And every passenger's like, whoa!
And that's the issue.
We'll move on from that one. I think
it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
You'll get to see it in Eva Carter anyway, that's for sure.
Okay, non-lethal weapons.
Non-lethal weapons?
Non-lethal.
Yeah.
They talked about tasers. They said, they talk a talk. I was getting very bored by the time I was writing this. All I kept hearing was CRG saying, we've talked about this. We've talked about this, and I'm like, oh God, please, you talk about it.
Are we talking about decoration? Decorating your hangar with all these non-lethal weapons or actual weapons? You're going to say, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
on the wall.
Stick it on the wall, like what? Let's take an example. Wolf from Star Trek has his bat lifts on the wall, doesn't he? Or you got Captain Picard with his
we've got that
wheelchair and his swords, and you get a picture here.
No, well, they've talked about stun grenades. They've talked about tasers. They are doing the Weapon 2.0 refactoring now, which is kind of what they do with ships, where they make the weapons uniform with terms of tech and fidelity of style. They do want different projectiles, so things like armor. They've spoke about different ammunition types. Like, I don't think it's going to be to the extent of Escape from Tarkov, but it will be
not.
In a position. No, I hope not. But it will be to a certain point, like armor piercing.
Don't speak about Tarkov. Don't speak about Tarkov. I brought someone his game for that.
So with this armor piercing, they will have non-lethal versions, and they'll work on it because it makes sense. It makes sense for people who are bounty hunters who need to capture their bounty alive.
I think that's one of the main things, isn't it? Being able to give bounty hunters a way to capture people without killing them.
You talk about the specialized thing like the baton or the handcuffs.
More a case of tasers. Being able to immobilize someone without killing them from a distance. Like, if you get close to them, you can go into a melee baton frenzy.
Poor Olisar is going to be Battle Royale with people just running around tasering the shit out of everyone else.
Now that's a Submarine game now, isn't it? Non-lethal Battle Royale.
Carnage everywhere. Everyone's tasing everybody. Then suddenly NPCs will come in and try
We need to make that game before it comes out. Non-lethal Battle Royale.
Where's that baseball bat when you need it?
Oh my God.
Okay, we'll move on from that one.
Yeah.
Well, wait and see. There's a lot of talk. Anyway, a lot of talk. They've got a lot
weapons
of...
actually is something that's being progressed a lot more than other things, actually. So, a non-lethal... I suppose it's the mechanic... It's not so much seeing the weapon, like the taser in game, that's probably doable. I suppose it's the animation and reaction on how you cope afterwards, like knocking somebody out, I suppose. Because
hence going back to medical professions. Oh, you just got tasered to go to the doctor.
They said the difficulty with it is if you are knocked out, what happens to the player? Is the player then just going to see nothing for the next 5 minutes? It won't be fun. So they need to figure out some way that can you contact your friends? Are you being dragged and you can't do anything? Are you getting the visual of being dragged, which would be kind of cool for some, but not others? Or is it going to be the bounty mechanic where you are instantly transported to the prison and that bounty hunter then takes an NPC and.
But
hands
then
them
what's the point of that new ship then? Where they've got is it the Anvil Hawk? Is it the Hawk? What's the point of that ship? Because that's a bounty hunter.
No, because they still
Well,
have
once-
to take the body back, but it won't be the player inside that body.
Right.
So the player himself gets transported
player
to the
gives
prison.
Gives up.
And I think you should have a choice of that. You should have a choice of
Well, I think
whether you want to
I
do
think
that.
you should be stunned at least for a few minutes, even if it's like boring mechanic. Well, then that's the mechanic.
I
It's
do.
part of the
Yeah,
game.
that's
It's
the
like anything
medic
else. You
system.
can't say, "Oh, I don't want any." Like, imagine if they keep making the game or a game where, "Oh, I don't want these boring bits in it." Like that's part of gameplay, and what's boring to some is
Yeah,
that
that's
you
the
need
punishment.
that realistically.
But
You can't just have that.
isn't boring bits actually make gameplay?
It's kind of like what they're seeing is that if
Hope
there's no
not.
punishment, if there's no punishment to your actions, then
Yeah.
you will just do whatever the hell you feel like, and you won't have a consequence. If you get stunned, if you're caught by a bounty hunter, which means you failed in your task to escape the bounty hunter, you will have to suffer. So then the priority or the scale of like I need to get out of here is more important. So if you're caught by a bounty hunter, then you need to suffer in some way. You can't just instantly respawn again.
And also, it gives you the chance to fight back. Like, say the stun wears out and they haven't got you back to the ship in time. Like, if
Yeah,
you just
yeah, exactly.
change the
You could
mechanic
break
and you.
free.
Did
Yeah,
someone say from CryEngine? I don't know if I could be wrong here.
CQC.
Didn't they say there was going to be a prison somewhere?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Prison, yeah.
Like a prison.
Would make sense. There must be a prison place as well. There'll be a prison. There must be. They'll be
There
building
is,
a
yeah, they've
prison
said there's going to be
station.
prison ships,
That'd be
prison
great.
stations, prison
I love
planets.
it. And then there's a game mechanic of where you could potentially go onto the prison base and escape, or try and find
Yeah.
a way to escape, or you could play that whole scenario out, which would be
But they
really
haven't
cool,
mentioned.
you know?
Yeah, I like that. Right,
I like the idea of it.
They haven't mentioned too much about this. If it's going to be a planet, prison.
I think they did say that, they can't say for concrete whether it's going to be one of each. I reckon we will see likely a section of a planet. I don't think it'll be a full planet like Crematorium that is just dedicated to a prison. There will be ships, there'll be locations on
Prison
a planet,
ships.
and there will be probably planets that are known as prison places. But until they develop that further, there's no way we can really comment on it too much.
It's a long,
Yeah.
serious theory crafting, but it's
yeah,
the
like
idea
it's
of
flat.
having the game complete. Be pretty
Like-
cool. I love the idea of it. Yeah.
Plan your breakouts now.
Yeah. I know for a fact that if somebody's like tases me and starts, choking and trying to drag me along, I'll be furiously typing my safe word in chat to try and get them.
Your safe word. You've got your safe word ready to go.
I'll be ready to go. I'll be like, "Ooh, quick, hang on, safe word, a bit too much now." No, so ATV means, and then let's get to questions.
Question.
You want to skip the questions?
No. I mean, we can go to questions, but I think there's a few pictures. If there's anything like, there was the fauna thing. If you want to, or should we just? I don't know.
I don't even know. I don't remember the fauna bit. I went through the whole of ATV. I don't remember any fauna.
There was. They showed off right at the end. You must have tuned
I
out.
freaking missed right at the end then.
It was
I've
right
got,
at
I've
the
got
end.
video clips all the way through, but not at the end.
They showed the coolest part of the ATV, where the environments team have spent time prepping for the work
Give me
needed for
but a moment.
2018.
We'll get
Why did it leave the coolest bits right to the end?
To make sure that people who tune in and are dedicated watch the full thing.
No, I did watch the full thing. Oh yeah,
That's why I
know. I've
announced the
got-
giveaways at the end of my videos.
No, it's all right. I have got it.
They do it to embarrass Miz. That's what they do.
No,
Yeah.
I've got it. I just.
Well, they talk about how planets will have diverse ecosystems. They're updating the planet
there.
and tech tools.
remember
and
it now.
things. You remember, do you? Do you
Yeah.
want to take over?
No, go on. I'm just saying. I got the picture. I remember them talking.
Oh, he's got a picture now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's cool. So they need more control and diversity over colours and materials to make. Obviously, they don't want to have something looking they don't want to have it repeated throughout the whole place. They're also, this new tech is also going to give the current moons and locations a bit of a visual boost. They're starting with what?
Sorry, carry on.
They're starting with Lawville, which is Hurston, but the items we're seeing here are not just situated in Lawville. That they're general flora. But this is the Lawville that we're seeing now. This is the actual location. The landing location.
Yeah, I think it's
And
because
they're
of
also-
like you said,
sorry.
the difficult. Oh, go on. Sorry, keep going.
They're also doing preliminary work on the Lawville transit system, which is awesome stuff. Carry on.
No, I was just going to say, like with the trees and the fauna and the colour and stuff, it's like you said with the procedurally generated stuff. Like that's the danger of everything looking repeated. So working on the different tones and colours and things like that, it helps blend it in a lot more.
I know they say they don't want to repeat stuff, but obviously, surely they can take like I don't know a small shrub and then change its colour, but then.
Yeah, but that's what they mean.
Well,
Change
that's
colours
what
of
they're
it.
doing. Yeah,
that's exactly
that's
what they mean by
doing
that.
it.
Yeah.
It's a way of creating a tool to make things faster.
They still
Be right
have
back.
to make. They still have to make a lot of assets to make it unique.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
reality.
a hell of a lot of assets.
To make the fauna, I mean, you can take it, spin it, twist it, drop it down higher, bring it up higher, make it bigger, make it smaller, change the color. You can do a lot with a single piece of asset to make it unique. But even then, the program will start to naturally put things into patterns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you'll start to see, repetition and things like that kind of occurring in. So they do. I do like the idea of they still do the artists driven kind of like building up.
Yeah, it's like a blend. I said it's like a blend of both. So you'll have the procedurally generated stuff on top of artist driven stuff. So they've said that all along. They'll go back in and then handcraft areas to make it look more natural and things like that as well.
But they will make sense to the location depending on like the closest of proximity to the sun. This is why they've consulted the experts, the 10,000-hour experts. In terms of like how would the ecosystem work on a planet this close to the sun, but with their own added touch.
And also it's a space game, so you want it to, the real math could say, hey, by the way, this close to a moon and this close to a sun, there would be nothing. It would be completely barren forever. They might go, well, that's not really going to work, because that means every single planet and moon we've got here would have nothing alive or anything interesting. We have to kind of fake it. You've got to fake it a little bit to make it interesting.
They're making it as realistic as possible, but they're not sacrificing the fun, because obviously realism, real life, it can be shit and boring.
Yeah, I don't want that.
No.
So no one wants that. But it was cool to see it. I think it needs a lot of work from what I saw. I was looking at it going, not quite as good as I was hoping, but that's the first edition. So
it's like anything is first pass. So
yeah. So I'm not going to be too critical. Considering I've seen their other stuff they do is amazing. I expect it to be to a very high standard. The plants, the trees were good, but the plants were a bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm confident that, like you say, it's first iteration. I'm confident they will reach the next step.
I think it was more showing off like the variety, what they're talking about, like the changes in colours and things like that, and the diversity, rather than look how this beautifully crafted plant. And also, don't forget stuff like that where the plants. Okay, it's a bit difficult in this because we will see a lot of them up close, but they need to be some things you're just going to get cover, so it needs to look, work well as a cover. Not everything can be so beautifully crafted because it would just eat up your computers and kill you all.
Kill you all.
Yeah, Sherman, by the way, because you're talking about EMP, good job, very happy, well done, nerfing that EMP.
It's not finished. It's not finished.
It's not final.
Good job on nerfing the EMP.
So basically, we did talk about the video effects and the clouds. I've just been going back over and working on those sort of things. Was in ATV. We discussed that a little bit earlier. The other thing they had was the AI. Been working on the AI a lot. So let me just get the video up. So
I saw the coil. I saw the coil.
That was the week.
Yeah,
that was last week before, wasn't it?
Right.
But they were on about just getting the AI movement, so it flows better. So like you see from running from cover and things like that. So the animation between the two processes looks a lot smoother now. So that like they're getting the AI as they duck behind cover and all that, which I think looks like they're doing a really nice job of that.
Do you know what I love about that scene there, where that guy comes from cover? He shot that person at about 4 foot. I think every bullet hit the wall around him rather than actually hitting the target, which I thought was quite
that's because he was running, so it's meant to do that.
He's within 4 feet. He hit everything around.
He just shot left of him. I think he went once. That was about it.
I was like, wow, that's the problem of having medium armor on. You're exhausted by the time you get to the target. 4 feet.
Aren't they? They're changing all the armors soon, aren't they? I heard they're changing all the armors soon. Or is that a wrong thing?
We've got the legacy armor, the cape. a few people were saying no capes from
No capes.
no capes.
Oh, I can't do a Batman impression anymore. That's
But I'm a fan because it's Boba Fett bounty hunting style, so I'm a fan of the capes and all the new armor. And I like, by the way, the new Gladius, the little glass thing. If that's a legitimate feature you guys are adding, the little glass on the front, whoever's here, that's a great addition to the Gladius.
No, they just put it there to troll you for when you watch ATV. It's not.
Yes,
They are
very
updating the glass. The glass has been
like
updated.
that a lot. I think that's good.
So yeah, that was about the AI now controlling the ship. So the AI inside the cockpit is physically controlling the ships itself, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of updates to the AI system, really, which is obviously, like we were talking about earlier, really how that's going to make a big difference to like the gameplay and the playability overall. Because when there's not going to be constantly just tons of players everywhere, you're going to have very good and convincing AI, which is what some of it's lacking at the moment when you go around the asteroids and they kind of just keep bouncing into them and stuff. So
aren't they leading on the AI thing with most game companies now? I believe they are, aren't they? Are the world leaders in that now?
Well, I don't know.
I think the subsumption is probably it, which is what they're working on putting in. So now they're trying to get like the subsumption into those players, like that's why they want the AI into the cockpits and stuff, so that these AI have got their own way of thinking and reacting.
Yeah, they said that they said instead of controlling the ship in terms of AI, now the actual AI NPC inside the ship cockpit is controlling the ship.
Yeah.
So he is in control of the ship, like we are in control of our ship, instead of the ship being driven itself. It's the player, it's the NPC doing the driving, if that makes sense.
It does, but I'm not 100% sure how it affects the gameplay.
Well, it affects it in terms of it's I don't know.
well, there is one thing, like if you shot the pilot, then the ship would stop. So I suppose stuff like that. So it's actually an integral part of the ship rather than.
And it plays in terms of when the player gets out of the seat, because at the moment he's slave to the ship in a way. He can't remove himself from the ship. So the ship is a separate entity. The player is a separate entity. So technically, if he then gets out of the ship cockpit, the ship is still there, but it's not active and flying because he's not flying it. So everyone that seats in the cockpit will be able to fly any NPC.
This comes to like for my idea in terms of more smarter AI as well, because if anyone watched my stream earlier, I was helping the support a freelancer, keep them safe from pirates.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while and then it stopped for ages and didn't do anything. So I got out of my saber and boarded the ship, got on it, noticed it had lots of cargo, got onto the ship, and then shot him in the head, killed him because he didn't, the guy who was there, the recon consultant.
Why not? As you do.
Killed
As
him.
you do.
And then I wanted to steal the Starfarer and then double cross, basically double cross, steal the Starfarer myself and then sell it. We couldn't sell it. We couldn't even get the ship to jump anywhere, but we could fly it around, but we couldn't get it to jump. But what was interesting is like potentially that ship should be one that had a few more AIs on it and would naturally have engaged me. The minute I killed the captain, they should have then tried to shoot me, or the captain could have got out and then had a dialogue with me or something. I love at the moment he's just literally it's just an AI sat on board the ship. I can't wait for subsumption and that real more sense of kind of like
so like if the pilot realizes they've been boarded, they may all get up and stop flying the ship, get up and come and get you instead.
It's super important for the longevity of the game in terms of they play it, the NPC being an actual character that you can fight in, and he'll do his. Sometimes he may flee, so he may just be like someone else may jump into the pilot's seat and take off, rather than the ship being controlled as the actual ship, like we see currently in dogfighting and things.
But it didn't. What was interesting as well was that the mission didn't finish because I was on board the ship. But the minute that I left the ship, the mission failed, which was quite because I had killed him. But it was like. It was still running whilst I was on board the ship. I was expecting it to fail the minute I killed the captain. There was something connected. I think it was like...
Well, it's linked to the ship rather than the pilot. That's the thing. That's what I said. It's like when you shoot in Vandal Swarm, isn't it? Or something, you can shoot the Vandal, but without destroying the ship. It's because it's linked to the ship rather than the actual pilot, which is what they're saying. That's what will be different. It'll be linked to probably the pilot more than I don't know, actually. If your mission is to escort the ship, you could potentially get away with killing the pilot and taking the ship.
Yeah.
That's it.
It'll depend on the mission derivatives, doesn't it?
I like the idea. I like the idea of like the double cross. You know,
They have to make sure they get their wording right in the Moby Glass. I was like, you just said protect the ship, not the pilot. I brought the stuff in. I want to get paid for the job and for the goods.
The guy just happened to be lying on the ground next to me. Hey, I didn't do that. I swear, it was not me. Honestly, I didn't do that.
I mean,
so Sherman makes a good point on the AI stuff, which I didn't realise. But I mean, making it the pressure you're going to get having that decent sort of AI in a multiplayer situation, especially because there's a lot more code and a lot more working out. Plus, you know, if it's got to respond, it's one thing an AI responding to you and knowing that it's got to respond to one player. But like we've said this before, if you're sitting down talking to like Miles Eckhart, what if someone comes up behind him and just like starts interfering or tries to engage with him? It's then got to try and work out, well, how do I deal with talking to multiple people at once? Or can you know, is it put like a wall up against it and you can't talk to him? Someone comes and shoots him in the head. Like there's lots of... It starts bringing a lot of complication into it. Or tasers him in mid-conversation. I'll just give you your...
They tried to mention about answering that. Just,
drag him away.
What's the landing zone that has the automated landing guy that talks to you? Or that...
The ATC guy.
Yeah, the ATC guy. Yeah, Levski.
Yeah.
How multiple people interact with that one to try and land.
Yeah, the same bloke.
The same bloke.
No, they said that they will have an automated system.
Yeah, if he's busy, an automated one will talk to you.
Because don't forget, that guy is physically there in that actual command center, and if he gets killed, then they still need a way for people to land and come in and out. So yeah, they will have an automated version.
Why bother with him at all? If only one person can talk to him. I know why. It's good. But it's almost like his job's redundant, isn't it? They've already got computers that can do it all, and why do they need the one bloke?
Sorry, mate, we have to let you go.
Computers are finally taken over.
We have some assumption in place now.
Yeah.
I mean, sits there and goes, there's no point me fucking turning up to work today, is there? The computers are going to make them all land anyway. And his assumption means he goes to the bar instead.
Sorry, Sherman, you're talking about... I've never played Stalker. I'll have to check out the AI. For me, the best AI and side missions and things that I've ever played in terms of making a game feel alive is The Witcher. If I'm being honest, that was the best that I've played recently.
I don't know.
But BioWare did a damn good job with Mass Effect as well, and some of the old BioWare games when BioWare was the great BioWare that I remember, were RPGs. They were pretty impressive, some of the stuff they did. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing StarCitizen's AI improve and grow and mature as the technology.
I mean, I think
matures.
that's one of the big major parts of it, and then that helps make the world living and breathing. There's so many MMOs you play now on things where everything just walks in the standard way all the time and everything else. So having them actually live, and that would be interesting to see. Next bit was about lighting. I can show the video, but I think I did show it a little bit earlier when we was talking about lighting. So just doing more pass over the lighting. The German team worked a lot on the Squadron 42 vertical slice, so getting the shots ready for like cinematic viewing and things like that. Nice. There was one bit that was interesting on that, which was, I don't know if I think I got the pictures of it, but it was more in terms of what they were doing. So they had like, where is it, the gold standard scene that they were talking about it, sequence for the cinematics, and it was like the lighting was slightly different for that, so that because it was meant to be more cinematic rather than what you would see in games. So you can see like the depth of field would be different and made blur and things like that. And they also set up special rigs like around the main characters so that they were lit differently, so that they would be brighter when you're watching them and actually interacting with them, and make it feel a lot more cinematic, which I thought was really cool.
Do you know what? When I watched it, I watched this. There was when they did the Squadron 42, that long section where it was almost like I was actually playing the game. I pretended that I was actually playing the game, and it was live. I forget the actor's name. He's from Game of Thrones. I've forgotten his name.
So Davos guy.
So yeah, he's that whole scene with him and the lighting and the mood and the softness of the way they tempered and like there was the acting obviously was superb as well, that helps, but the script writing is great. And I was lost. I was completely in the game for a moment, and I just thought that was just a tiny fraction of what the single player potentially is going to be.
Yeah.
I think Squadron 42 is going to be.
It's going to be amazing.
Superb.
It's going to set the boundaries for the next set of single player
really
campaigns. It is phenomenal in terms of immersion, acting, screenplay, graphics, everything. And this is why a lot of people are like, I'm not too fussed about Squadron 42. You fucking should be.
Yes, you really should be.
It's going to be awesome.
And then you got the whole debate of, do you play Squadron 42 first, or do you go straight into the
you definitely play Squadron 42 first, because it'll be out before StarCitizen. So
I will be playing Squadron 42.
But then you got the other debate, if I don't play Squadron 42, go straight into the universe, do I get an advantage for those playing Squadron 42?
The only thing which they already addressed was the uniform was a bit plain, which they showed later that they've actually
they're working on clothing and
on the cloth shader and skin shader. It's like the
face,
the visuals on the face and things are actually being updated as well. I believe.
Just give me that Squadron 42 uniform. That uniform the officers wear.
Yeah.
Let me wear that uniform, please.
The only thing I would say on the facings, I don't know if anyone noticed, but some of the characters look very oily. In some of the other scenes, they look very, very oily.
What's that? Is that when the lights hit them on the actual face?
Yeah, they look, on a few of them they looked a little bit too kind of. I mean, I was thinking, maybe that's meant to be to be a bit sweaty from the uniform or whatever. You are wearing a wetsuit after all, but I kind of
if you really want,
a bit oily, shiny. This one's okay. This is tier 0.
It looked a bit odd. I agree with you. It looked a bit odd, but it was okay, but it just looked. If you took a real in-depth look into it and you actually stopped it and you go, that looks a bit odd.
Well, they are updating things like the shaders, the lighting, the facial, the what do you call it, the skin mapping, or I can't remember what they call it now. No, it's gone. I've written it down somewhere, but I'm not going to. They've worked on the real-time cloth and flesh simulation research and development, so they're updating what we currently see already.
The real-time thing is actually linked to something different. It's to do with the and I've got it on here somewhere, but it's similar to this scene. The animators, where they would animate the face and things, they would normally animate with a much plainer face. And then they would have to do all the animations, and then you would play it. Then you'd have to render it and see what it looks like in an actual light scene, the scene that's been lit. Whereas now they can actually they've been working on it so the cloth and everything's actually looking like it's supposed to as they animate it. So they can see it in a real time, and they can flip around it and see how that's going to look, how it catches the light, how the cloth looks. And it just gives them. It speeds the process up because they can basically animate and see how that, especially with cloth and things, if it's getting folded the wrong way or something like that, you might not know that until you see it rendered. So they can actually animate during rendering, which I thought was really cool.
No, it really.
There's
cool.
I mean, for people that use the software and that, you understand a little bit more. I've not in Blend. I use Blender to make my robot and stuff a little bit. I'm very, very basic, but I know that one of the new updates that was coming for it, or is already out, is that they're going same thing. You can actually build your 3D model in a pre-rendered lit scene, which makes a huge difference. In being able to see the effects that you're working on, basically.
It's kind of like real life rendering. Basically, there was something when I was first doing it. Like before, you just had to render all the time, but now it's like it renders as you're building the model, which can because the computers are more powerful, so you can do it, whereas you couldn't do it back in the day.
And this is the thing, it's like that they're already updating the tech, even as they're developing the game, which I know a lot of people will think, well, they're holding it back, but it's not, because other things, they're still developing the game.
Yeah, and
so they just introduce the tech. Yeah, it's not holding it up, it's just introducing it while they're still developing other areas, Yeah. So it's just increasing the fidelity, increasing the way the game looks, and it's, like we said before, it is something to be excited about, and I am very excited for Squadron 42.
You're excited about the mining, that's what. About walking around a certain ship.
Dude, I'm excited about anything. Just sniffing a reclaimer would be great.
Sniffing a reclaimer.
So I'm genuinely I'm super pumped. When I watched ATV, that whole scene there just, excuse me, just completely sold the game. I'm just so happy I bought the combo pack. And I definitely, if I want to get them to just give us that section alone, so I can just literally keep the clip and send it to people and say, that's why you buy Squadron 42.
And AAA actors. that whole interaction
yeah.
between Wexler and Sir Davos. Whoever
And
his
you
name is.
haven't seen 90% of it already.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's only a snippet. That's the vertical slice.
Liam Cunningham.
Ah, nice one. That's the one. Who was the guy sat down in the room? In the briefing room. Who's the?
Leave me alone! I'm busy trying to blow my nose.
No one's heard of that guy. No one's heard.
I actually prefer him in this than I do in the Star Wars films. Oh yes, I'm saying it now.
He's saying it.
I mean, if you take a look at the list of actors,
I prefer him as one thing only, and that's the Joker.
Yeah,
one thing of the Joker.
Good as that.
I mean, if you take a look at the list of actors,
Best Joker
that's going to be in Squadron 42. The list of, and you haven't seen half of them yet. You've not seen any of them. Well,
yeah, they have said that there's going to be more A-lists that we don't know.
Yes, we don't even know. That's going to be a little surprise.
Right, let's do questions.
Question time.
Sorry.
Questions times, is it? Oh,
It
God.
is.
Is there anything else?
God help us.
Questions. We've got 20 questions to go through, Miz.
Oh, God.
Quick fire.
Yeah, quick fire
Go.
round. First one.
Read him with some fucking excitement, please.
Why have you put? Why have you,
roll.
First one.
have you changed? Well, you've changed the form because the first question is from Madness.
You changed the ball because of first.
How does the questions work?
You fucked the form up again. Is the game fun without having to spend extra? Please ask your questions below. We are only having people ask questions on that. It's not listening now. Okay, so I don't know what he's done there. So the first question is from. Let's do it this way.
You okay,
All
man?
Ryan's loyal fans. I can't believe he's fucked the question form up.
He's got the question form up.
Because I keep reading the same question over and over. He's put, instead of the title saying "Please ask your question here," he's put his own question in it. So I keep seeing his question come up over and over again. So it's,
Good job.
Good job,
Professionals.
Well done, Madness. Well done. Right.
He's gone.
So please, you can remember. You can remember to announce AFWG stream/podcast, but why can't you remember to announce when you are not streaming?
I do announce. Who's asked this?
You're all Ryan's loyal fans.
Is that a username?
Well, that's what they put as their username. I don't even know what they're asking.
I do announce Discord and Twitter. Exclamation. No, hang on, that doesn't work. But on my Discord, on my Twitter, if you want to know what I'm doing, that's where to find out. Who the hell asked that?
I don't know.
I don't know. They're probably blaming me or that one. I'm guessing. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
know.
blaming someone.
Okay. Balabish asks, have any of you guys tested if hard drive or SSD actually benefit FPS, or is it just loading? I think it's just loading.
Yeah, the FPS is
Loading speeds.
not really much to do with RAM.
Yeah.
Oh, not
No.
RAM, sorry. You know what I'm trying to... SSDs, memory.
Well,
Fuck, no!
Come on, Ryan, get with the program.
You know what I'm trying to say. It's not to do with that. It's more to do with something else.
Yeah. SSD drives increase loading times on Windows. Well, basically anything.
Oh, it does, Disposable Hero says. It improves FPS and frame drops.
There you go.
I'm not the guy to ask. I think we've established this. That's what that question established.
Wow. Okay, well, we're not a tech podcast, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Next question is from Kraken, and it says...
Was that we talking about HDD? I've never noticed any difference between only on load ups. But if someone's got, is there actual evidence someone's got a video or something to show me? Because I'd be interested to see the actual performance difference between the HDD and this. Because I genuinely, the only thing I've noticed is loading. That's the only difference I've noticed. I'm getting 60 frames comfortably.
Yeah, don't rub it in. Rub it in, you get your 60 frames.
Hey, Craig, you and your Idris and your yellow M50.
Thank you.
Yellow M50.
Going through.
Oh yes.
One account. What's on my other 4 accounts? I wonder. So yeah,
absolutely.
Go on, the next
My
question.
60 frames.
Your 60 frames.
That's
Next
why you
question.
stole my Ursa. I couldn't
And
catch
by the way,
15 frames.
Miz, you're in trouble.
Hmm?
Mr. Bandit, you're in trouble for filling out a form incorrectly.
I don't know what he's done to me.
Mm.
I honestly don't know what's happened to
I
it.
swear to God, I don't know what it is. I just go in and I just type in a question and I put it in and then it just messes
I'll
up.
tell you what it
I'll
is.
go
You're
on my phone.
using our part of the question form to ask questions when you should be using what we give to everybody else to fill in to ask questions, because you can't edit the form then. So you're editing the form rather than asking a question. So that's quite. Last podcast I had to fucking fix it all because you messed it up last time, and now I've got to do it all again.
Fail.
That explains it. Pro streamer right here.
Right, that's why we got 3 links in the doc section, not just 2. All right. Next question is from Kraken, and he asks everybody, wouldn't it be nice if CIG enabled orgs to personalise their ships, suits, armour, etc. with their logo as a badge? Kind of how DICE implemented it in Battlefield series.
Yeah.
It's coming, not now, down the pipeline. Yes, org logos and badges. Yes,
They have spoke about this.
They have,
haven't they?
Yes,
They want to get it in so that you can have your own. I mean, it may be a case of submitting it to CIG first to be scoped, so you don't have cock crew or whatever. Yeah.
Penis.
Boobs are,
Because that's all that someone's going to squeeze a cock in, aren't they? That's for sure.
Squeeze a cock in
somewhere.
They're going to try.
Squeeze on it.
They're going to try.
Somewhere.
We've all tried somewhere in our life.
We've all tried to squeeze a cock in somewhere.
Rude. So rude. Next.
Wow.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, Alakai asks,
What are you guys talking about?
one question I want to know the answer of is
You don't need to put that. We realise the question is the question. You want the answer to the question.
No, I'm just asking this. I don't actually want any answers. If we'll ever be able to just straight up recruit NPC ships, crews, captains to work for your corp, so you can put them to work and earn money passively through them long term. No, I think they said no, didn't they?
Yeah,
because we were about farming and saying you're not going to be able to just farm money while you're not.
If you're online, you can. If you log off, they will stop working, I believe, is what they said. Yeah. So you can't just log off and go to work and then 8 hours later, you fucking mined with multiple crews. You have to be in the game, present. Maybe not present to the location. You have to be in the game, though.
But, yeah, controlling them through an order or something.
I thought didn't they mention this on an ATV about this? Was it?
They have spoken about it. That's what they said. Yeah.
I'm torn between liking and disliking it. It breaks immersion for me in a little bit, in the sense that if you log off, that you've hired people, in theory they should be still working my land, at the end of the day.
I like the idea of that happening. Yeah, I like that idea.
They should be, in theory, doing what they're told, basically.
If they can implement that, then fine. But
I think they had a genuine reason behind why they don't want that to happen. But I can't remember what that reason
helps
was.
gold farmers and everything else.
It's
just
more
like
it's more exploitation.
But the way I look at it is they can make complicated. You could have, if you're not looking after your workers, they'll leave you, so you could come back and they're not there anymore. They could die of disease and sicknesses, and you're supposed to give them a doctor, provide them with someone that's meant to look after them, treat them, and all these kind of systems. You could have these. I mean, it makes it more complicated, sure, but in order to be able to make money in the game, you have to have a lot of things that cost money to make more money. So you have to get to a place where you're, do you know what I mean? You can't just have one person making you money.
Disposable Hero, I think, mentioned it there, where he says you can hire a crew for a ship, but you cannot have a ship run entirely by NPC crew. You have to have a real player on board that ship in order for that to work, which I think
I agree with that.
It kind of sucks, but no, like you say, I think that's actually a good method.
Well, that's not good news for me then, is it?
No, so don't buy multiple ships. Oh, hang on.
Oh, well, that doesn't help me at all, then, does it, guys?
But you've got a lot of friends, Ray, so you can have one friend, one real player with a whole NPC. If you have 7 friends, you can have 7 ships, all operating with full NPC crews, barring one player on each. So it technically will work.
But again, how's that going to work if you've got like 20 plus ships, and now I'm going to have to find 20 plus
20 friends. There you go. You just find 20 friends.
Mm-hmm. All at the same time.
I'll find people for you. Don't worry.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
have it working.
really. I don't get me wrong. It might be a nice system, but if you own multiple ships and there's people that own more than me,
Clifford, he's fucked.
But no, yeah. I mean, I'm more thinking just on land-based stuff. I'm thinking
it's
more
tricky
like
because
farming
also
and that kind of stuff.
I mean,
Well,
that
with
would
the
be nice to
spectrum.
have. I mean, you can have security. Surely NPC security are still doing the job that you've sort of maybe not and hired them straightforwardly like I'll have you and you. It's more of an operation that they're working. But I think it would be nice to have NPCs working off the clock while you're not there, just for the sake of mining. Maybe the productivity goes down a little bit.
Yeah, productivity could go down. Also, you got to understand is these careers, certain careers might not be very profitable. Like farming, for example, certain types of crops or certain types of goods might not necessarily make you huge amounts of money, but you just like the game mechanic and you enjoy it. So therefore, you need to be on, in order to make that profitable, you have to be on all the time. People have lives. Do you know what I mean? I personally think that you should be able to farm behind the scenes if you should be allowed to just, otherwise people will literally just set a feature on their computer where their computer stays on all the time. They literally they switch their computer on and then they just
you can
leave
go and shoot them in the head.
Yeah, activity. Make sure that you stick down the W.
I mean, there was talk about integrating it with Spectrum, and we have spoke before about how that would be a good, like being able to do the farming, but controlling it with your tablet from work or something, and logging in through Spectrum to get them to keep doing it. Like, so if they took that out of the game, it would be a shame, because it would be nice to be able to do that. So I don't know. It's questionable. I don't think how Alakai is saying it though. I don't think you're going to be able to say, right, here's a fully kitted ship. Like pilot and gunners and everything else, and here's a mission that I picked up, go and do it for me. I don't think we'll have that, because it means you could just literally sit there like a kingpin, buy all these ships and never actually fly or move out of your seat and just keep getting everybody to do all these jobs for you.
Concierge reward.
Concierge, that's a 50k reward if you put 50k into the
get on the throne and just allow it to continue.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It would be nice to be able to incorporate it, but I think they had a genuine reason why they don't want it to happen. But I just cannot remember what that reason was.
They don't want.
Next question.
Yeah, they want. Yeah. Carry on. Sorry.
Next question. Red Bear 1 asks: since we are able to mine stuff soon, wouldn't it be logical? We have we will have storage to store that what we mine, so friends can take that fuel and use. I think he means, wouldn't it be logical to have storage places for the stuff we actually gather? 'Cause at the moment we have it mine it, and then what?
They did say that when if you build an outpost, for example, and you mine, you'll need storage for the mined minerals. Yeah. Because you can't just have them. Well, you can have them lying around, but.
He's also saying you can give to your friends as well. He's saying you can give to your friends as well, I think is what he's saying.
I definitely think that'll be something when, like, part of the outpost things. Because the same with cargo. You might not want to sell. I think they did actually mention it in one of the, or it might even been when we was at CitizenCon and speaking to the people building the outposts. They said there'd be like a storage room and you'll be able to get your cargo and put it there and just store it. Yeah. Locked up in your cargo room. So then, if a friend comes down and says, "Oh, I'll tell you what, mate, can you take a couple of these boxes with you if you're heading that way?" And they could go and sell it or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So, and it was like you say, it was during CitizenCon. They said about the different add-ons to your outpost. Storage was one of them, because you need a place to store what you mined. You can't just have it sitting around. You need to have a place for it to.
Also, hangars, your ships, of course, but hangars and org hangars as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Golf Echo, and he asks, in the Squadron 42 video, there's a guy mopping the floor. Why that far in the future there is still a person doing that? Because in the future people still drop drinks.
Let's get the drone in.
Because to be honest, because too expensive to have robots doing it.
I think it's more a case of like, well, they want to keep it in a realm of reality that we can relate to. But it's a good point. Why would the guy? I mean, the mop looked futuristic. It folded up like that to squeeze. I actually watched it. Has anyone seen the film Joy? I'm just going to digress very slightly. Has anyone seen the film Joy? about the woman who patented the mop that squeezes itself. 900 years from then, from the 50s. Fucking seriously, we must have, like you say, drones that can clean up spills.
Well,
floors that open up and suck in and dry the air.
Drones now that can go around and hoover up. But the thing is, like, if you imagine that in your house when you're out, this drone goes around and hoovers your house. That's okay. But if you're in a station, you're just going to be constantly tripping up these little drone robots mopping stuff up. So
I mean,
you wouldn't want that, would you?
I kind of like the idea that humans are cheaper than robots to do the job.
Well,
of
that as well, yeah.
True. Yeah.
And I think that there should be drones cleaning things, but also I think part of it is military vehicles, ships. It's like a good discipline, cleaning and getting your
it's like, punishment, isn't it, for people
get your toothbrush out.
Yeah.
You have no money. Here's some punishment. Go and mop my station.
Yeah.
You poor person. You.
Exactly. I just think that's not going to go away.
To be honest, I need that job because when I did one cargo run and lost all my money, I couldn't buy any more cargo, so I'd literally have to mop the floor for a week so I can get the cargo to
What's
start
the minimum
trading
wage
again.
by this time?
Probably less than it is now. Okay, the last question that's on the form. Unless anyone else wants to ask any questions, get them in quick because we're going to be closing it in a minute. In fact, no, let's just close it. Gulf Echo asks, shouldn't the prices of resources in all places be shown at the trading screen of every place? No. Because that takes... Then there's no trading, well, almost no trading, because it's like, well, it's cheap there, right, quickly, I'll go and do that run. Part of it is learning trade routes yourself, learning what's cheap and what's expensive. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, and it would still have that to a degree, but what you'll end up having is a market where everything's a similar price, because you'll always get beaten to the point, you'll get there and someone else that's already seen the same screen has gone there and delivered from a closer stop as well, So...
But to be fair, if you had every commodity price from every location on one screen, you're going to be like this.
Yeah. That as well, yeah.
And if they wanted to use that, if they really wanted to use that system of multiple commodities on one screen, all they have to do is look at an old game, which was X3, which uses that system.
Right.
If they really wanted to go there.
Filter, that's what they need.
I'm going to tell you right now that you've already got it. I mean, Daniela, or should I say Texas Skulls, he's already kind of created an external web page where people fill in the information live, and it's there. It's almost, people will almost already create that information. There'll be people sat there, like you talk about kingpins, within orgs, being able to analyze this information, and their job probably behind the scenes, because that's the type of person they are and they enjoy, will be getting the information, sending the information to
I
their...
don't even know how he gets that to work to get that information.
It's information that people give them. So people fill in, I believe they tell him how much things are on.
Yeah, but that's
information.
How is that going to work when the game's live and there's millions of, thousands of places that are all selling the same resources?
Well, you have your... What I'm saying is, people will potentially have their own... Like, if I'm a cargo running org, I'm going to want to potentially have maybe one or two people who are...
Then it relies on people putting the data in innocently, not skewing it as well.
Well... I mean, I hope that they would do that road because it makes it more interesting. You know what I mean? It's not perfect.
You'll be able to have it, but that's what a trade route and a good trader will be. It's the same as you would get in pen and paper and saying, right, well, I've been to 3 stations, it was this much here, but the danger is obviously that might change by the time you get back there. So obviously the bigger org you're in, the more that can get updated. If people decide to work together and do that, then you can get the database slightly bigger. But I think, again, having it maybe as an external source or something like that it's okay, because it means it's something you've got to go out and actually check, and it might not be correct, which is the whole point. You might look at it and it might not be filled in that day. It might be 2 days old, that information, and by the time you get there, that market's not correct. So I think that's better. But if you had it in game on the screen, it would ruin it, because it would have to be updated kind of instantaneously, and therefore taking away any of that gameplay. I'm glad they agree.
You agree?
I agree. I think
Yeah.
Did you guys answer my
concur.
question?
Pardon? What? Your question?
Or
No, because you filled it in as part of the form.
But
Okay, so
Okay, so the
they
question
could-
from Madness was some guy called Elbom put. I don't know, actually. What did you put? Now I've deleted it.
I'll read it.
I know it was to do with cost, but you deleted.
I will read it. It says, yeah. It says the question is this game fun without having to spend extra?
yes.
Who gives you
Spend.
extra?
You got to spend at least $600 to get anything out of this. I'm only joking. Yeah, cool.
So the question is can StarCitizen be fun in just an Aurora?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It can,
Well,
and it will
depends-
get more fun as time goes on.
Depends what
For
Aurora
how long?
variant.
How long?
Because on an Aurora it won't be.
You can make friends with an Aurora, and then you've got more
How-
fun out of the game.
Here's my
could-
question: if
you could
didn't have any
outfly-
other ships, we all have ships here. We all have multiple ships here between
Yes.
all of us. We have many different ships. But if I took all of your ships away,
Yeah, some
and said,
people.
"Oh, you can play
That
as
is
an
some people's
Aurora,"
plan to just.
I
start
have a
with-
second account, and I only have an Aurora on it, and I absolutely loved playing in that game where nobody knew me. I could just fuck about, and I enjoyed just going about it. And yes, the downside is you lose that ship, which is currently a bug, and you have to wait for it to be expedited. But in that time, you go around shopping, you go around looking at the different items, and you spend more time looking at the more in-depth aspects rather than currently, can't I get that ship? Let me just get this one instead. It kind of forces you to appreciate more aspects of the game.
Really,
in my opinion.
what you're kind of asking is the grind fun? Because that's what any MMO or most games start out as. You start out with no equipment, you get your one done, your knife or whatever, and then you work it up. And even FPS games, you start off with, Tarkov you're playing, you go in there, you go in with a machete, and you try and get all the gear and loot out, and then you come out with more gear. So it's exactly the same thing. The Aurora MR is fun as an initial gaming mechanic. It's not something you want to play for 10 years in. You're going to earn with it. Go on, sorry, Craig. Go for it.
Yeah, it's just like my very first ship I brought was an Aurora. There you go. And if I want to play the Aurora, I'll play it. Then if I've got my own goals I want to do in the game, for example, okay, my next goal is I want to earn enough credits in game by doing trades, missions, whatever, to buy that, I don't know, whole sea, or I want to buy a freelancer and then move up.
Yeah,
have these goals, or I wish to upgrade my Aurora with military spec equipment on board, or better scanners, better this, better that.
The game is obviously better if you were to play with friends, but that doesn't mean that as a single solo player you won't have fun as well. You will have fun, but I highly recommend breaking that barrier of wanting to play alone, which a lot of us. I mean, I went through that when multiplayer games started becoming more of a thing. We all started off as single player games because that's all that was. Then they started breaking that, bringing out multiplayer games, and it was a bit of you felt you didn't want to, but then you did, and as soon as you started getting into the multiplayer action, it was nerve-wracking, but you thoroughly realized you experienced something completely different. Yeah. Playing as a group in an org is so much better than playing solo, and I highly recommend it, even if you are reluctant to. That's why, like I said, my whole gaming career mostly is through multiplayer games, because I now, and I've said it a few times to Madness and things like that, he said, am I going to get Subnautica and things like that? It's like, to me, no, because my whole gaming experience, I prefer to share it with someone else, because I think that's what's more fun, having the laughs. It's like anything, even like going on holidays and stuff. Like if I went to do it solo, I know there are people out there that like to go on solo, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But personally, I like to go out there and have someone else that goes, oh, fucking hell, did you see that? That's amazing. Whereas it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel the same if I come back and then you try to explain to someone what you've seen. It's lost in translation. It's like, oh, it's really amazing. You're really excited about it. They're listening going, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. I mean, sharing an experience is better, isn't it?
And I get the same feeling in the multiplayer game.
I mean, yes, let's take Ryan's example. He likes to be with a group of players, and then you got the other side of it. You got the single people, single players that want to play this on their solos for hours on their own. You can do that if you wish. It's your choice.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the question was now.
I think the point. Well, I mean, just on what you're talking about there, I think the most important thing is the StarCitizen will be able to enjoy, to equal measure, probably. Being able to play on your own.
Whatever
playing with people.
You make the game what you want to make it. If you want to,
But the question is, can you fly? Can you just start off in an Aurora at the moment and start sitting and enjoy it? You can for a while. I think the game will run pretty boring at the moment with what we've got. But if you're talking about right now, that's fine. But I think when the game is launched, hell yeah, the Aurora will be fine because there'll be so many other things to enjoy. But
when the game is launched
in the box,
launched.
Lunch.
Did I say lunch?
You said launched.
Yeah, it's
launch this game.
There's lunch.
I'm telling you, this stuff is strong. It just completely
strong. Let's launch this game.
This is how much left I've got on my JD and Coke, everyone, out of a full
Well, I
bottle.
finished a full bottle of
welcome.
Right.
Nestle Pure Life
Before we all
water,
hold
so-
up our bottles, that's all the questions.
Let's yes. So, thank you, everyone, for the questions.
Yep.
Any more questions?
No, I just said that was the end of the questions.
Okay. You
How many
already
views?
told it.
Okay, here's one. How many views?
What? You've cut out then?
I said, how many viewers is on the podcast right now?
96.
Us four.
Us four?
Yeah. No one else is bothered.
Is there 96 watching? Is there?
No.
There was about 50. About 50.
About 50. I don't know.
About 50 at the moment.
Pick two people at random. Go.
Me.
Yeah, miserable.
Yep.
I'm a
Ryan, look on the chat. You know what to do. Pick someone at random, and miserable. Pick someone from the chat at random. Go.
Shambles.
Shambles. You just won $10 gift card. Next. Ms.
Disposable Hero. He's the only one that I can see on there at the moment.
Okay, whoever that is, you just won a $10 gift card. Contact me. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Oh, you both won a Polaris. Go and contact
Yeah, right.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Pick me. I picked myself. Did that not count?
Yeah, why, you didn't
Well, you could have done. You had the option.
I did.
I'm going to choose Mac. Your name at random. You just won yourself a free hug. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, free hug.
How do I collect?
Next year when I'm available.
I'll hold you to
Don't
that.
worry, it'll be an extra big hug by then. Okay, good stuff. Congratulations to the people who hung around to win themselves.
If you don't know how to get hold of me, you just look me up. You'll find me. Easy enough.
Yeah. We'll also clip this bit and send it to him because he's drunk literally quarters of a bottle of Coke and JD.
And tell him it was a $25 gift card.
Right? What?
Tell him it's
Wait till the
25 and we'll
morning.
split the difference.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll take 5. You take 20.
Big thank you, the Cray, for joining us. Oh, sorry, Miz, you're the host. What am I doing? I'm so used to being the
What?
host.
What?
Sorry, mate.
Excuse me, you take over the host job. I thought.
I know.
He is,
I'm so used to it. There's been weeks of doing it. It's my bad. Go, Miz. Sorry.
Yeah, Madness has been a star. I've been, obviously, like I said earlier, things going on in my life, so I couldn't host. So Madness has taken over and done an excellent job. So thank you very much for that. But otherwise, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. As always, it's been great fun. Huge thanks to the CryEngine for joining us, and the usual piece of furniture in the corner, Mr. Mac.
Piece of furniture in the corner.
Wow.
Hey, he knows that's a compliment.
It is, to be honest. Yeah.
Wow.
It's an honour.
Everyone wins the Polaris, yeah. So,
Oh, my Polaris.
don't forget, I don't know what I was going to say now. See, this is what
You
happens when you haven't
were
hosted
going to tell
for
Cray
ages.
that his poster's fallen down again. That's what you
Yeah, Cray, your post has fallen down. Every Monday, podcast is here. We start at sometime. No, it's not. It's between me and Madness's channel. So next week it'll be on Madness's again.
It's all a lie.
It's all a lie. So what's coming out of my mouth is absolute bullshit. So just follow everybody. Oh yeah, follow everybody on the cast. Make sure you go and give CryEngine a follow. ! Guest in chat will give you links to both Mac and CryEngine's channels.
We got special ranks there, mate. We're guests.
You are guests. Exactly.
Not anymore.
Mac's not going to be back for about 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Never again.
So as we go around the table and tell everybody what you do, who you are, or where they can find you. Madness, what are you up to? Where are you going? Who are you?
This week I'll be balancing work, StarCitizen, Subnautica, and Escape from Tarkov. because Cray was kind enough to give me a game key, which was amazing of him. So thank you so much for that.
Shocking. I know nothing.
It was amazing. So yeah, huge thanks to that. So yeah, so I'll probably try and join these cronies here next to me, probably playing at some point some Tarkov. I don't know. It looks pretty scary. It looks pretty not scary. I'm sounding like I'm a complete wuss. It looks really hard.
Worse.
It is scary.
Worse. It looks a bit intimidating, but yeah, I play that. And then StarCitizen as always, and then Dungeons and Dragons on Friday with Miz for continued adventures of Valros holding male poles, which will be quite fun. Again, I think.
Did you just say male genitalia?
Male statue poles. Read into it what you want. It's on YouTube. Go watch the later episode 5, which we the first one that we thought was
tune
decent.
in if you like that stuff.
Well, we might put the other stuff on there, but yeah.
You like holding male poles.
If you like holding male
The
poles.
5th one was the best one we've done so far, I'd say. Because we're starting to understand the system.
Yeah, so we're starting to put like I said, we've got an Asylum Discord, YouTube channel now. So it's going on both of our individual channels, but it will eventually all go onto the Asylum YouTube one. So make sure you go and give that a follow. I don't think I've got a bot in the command for that one, but never mind.
Go and sub.
So yeah,
but
go
you
and
can
give
find
us a
it
follow
through
on
your
YouTube. Yeah, it's easy enough. So yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons goes up on there as well as this podcast. And we're going to be doing some more, so we probably might start updating some of these gameplays, footage of Tarkov, maybe some StarCitizen gameplay as well. When we get time, things will be going on there, so that's all cool.
Yeah.
And the CryEngine, why don't you tell everybody?
If you've got any video editors that are free, please contact me.
Video editors that are free. What am I up to
Free
next
in both
week?
sense, yeah.
What am I up to next week? I'm on a secret plane next week. Off to go a secret plane visiting someone in the United States. There you go.
Wow.
What's the plane?
What's the plane?
Air Force One.
Air Force One.
He's going to see Trump. That's what he's
I'm going to go see Trump. No, I'm off to go.
His first name is Donald. No, it's too obvious.
No,
His surname is Trump.
I'm off to meet a YouTuber in New York. There you go. So there for 2 days, and then come back here, and then it's more work, and record videos and use editing software. There you go.
Good stuff. Good luck with the trip.
Do you know Madness is looking for video editors? So
I am looking for video.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Feel free
Well,
to contact me.
I just forked out nearly up to £1,000 for my new one.
What, video editor?
Yeah.
What, a person? Just £1,000 and this little person came in a box and it's like, right, get editing.
Wow, no, that's the thing is, yeah, no, they're not cheap, that's for sure.
They're not cheap.
Go for it.
But get a discount on Amazon though.
What's Mac up to? Oh no, probably eating cookies.
I wish. Fucking wish. I'm doing the usual streams. Tomorrow's going to be a good stream. I'm thinking of doing maybe one Saturday a proper party stream for this partner thing that I haven't done yet.
Have you done that yet?
No. I started doing it and I had that whole bot issue. And I had balloons, I had poppers, I had a fucking hat, I had everything ready to go.
You had your party on the last Asylum. We held it.
We had a 2-second party where we just blow a couple of poppers.
Did you say you had poppers at your party?
I have poppers, not like
I'm coming around your I'm coming around your house for
proper
a
party, you know, 90s party.
I'll bring the safe word with me.
Oh God.
Not the safe word.
Oklahoma. I will. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing a party sometime Saturday, maybe this Saturday, maybe next Saturday. I haven't quite decided yet, but it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll stream for multiple hours, not just like the usual sort of 2 to 4. Video-wise, I've got this new starting series. I'm going to work on the next episode of that one because I realise it's been over a week, which doesn't help anyone starting because they're like, right now. I've got into the ship. Now what, you dickhead? You didn't finish the next series. As well as doing the RTV. Yeah, exactly. As soon as you get the video done, it all changes. But other than that, I'm getting a haircut Wednesday. Is that exciting?
Depends. Are you streaming it?
No.
That's a miracle.
Really, then.
Take a picture if you like, but as far as it'll go. Oh, lots of giveaways on Friday, February and March, thanks to Raiden.
Ooh.
Big
Who,
list of giveaways.
What? I know nothing.
He'll deny it all.
I deny everything.
But a lot's happening. So this month's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. February's always a good month because it doesn't last so long.
And then we got BritainCon stuff coming up, of course.
Yeah, that's coming around really fast. So me and Miz need to do. And we need to do some more Escape from Tarkov because I had so much fun on that one.
Well,
so much fun.
Let me know when you're doing it and you got space. How many people can play that game?
5,
4 or 5,
I believe. It's 4 as scavs, but 5.
April is very, very busy. April is so busy.
It is.
Don't have me behind you because I may accidentally shoot. I've been known to shoot.
None of us are any good. Although Miz, I think, is getting better, aren't you?
Oh yeah, me and Rithis have got it down. We
Seriously?
escape every time now. Yeah, seriously. We're doing really well.
All right, okay. When we play next, Miz is leading.
But we're all proper like sprinting to bush.
So do you still open up on a couple of guys with assault rifles with a pistol?
Yeah, but we sometimes win.
But now you take them down.
But now we win, yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to end the podcast there. Yeah, for myself, D&D on Friday. Well, I might not be doing it. I've got to check. But D&D on Friday. Someone will be streaming it. It's the Mrs. birthday on Saturday, so it all depends.
Well, that's you out. Happy birthday!
Yeah, but she's had good news that she hasn't got cancer, so who gives a fuck?
Great
so,
news.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So we'll be
We all
getting
give a
drunk
fuck that
at
she
the-
didn't have cancer.
That's good.
Do
Fantastic
we?
news.
Oh, that's nice. So yeah, be sure to go on, if you, like I said, if you missed any of it and you want to see it, go and look on YouTube. You'll find it on the Asylum podcast. Otherwise, make sure you give everybody a follow here. Thanks for joining us, and let's go and find someone to raid because I don't know who. So you're gonna have to wait now while I
Go
find
find someone to raid.
I think
Yeah.
the Few was on, was he? Or is he?
Who?
He is on, I think. Should we go and raid
Go
him?
find,
Dr.
go-
Jones, the Few.
I don't know, go find someone with 5 viewers. Surprise them.
Yeah, we'll find.
We've got the Roberto. Like, it's hard finding people in English though. Hang on.
Roberta too. Is he still streaming?
Who?
I am. I've got the wrong.
Someone
place
pick
here.
one, and I'll just type in the raid command.
Oh, Canadian. Here we go. There's a guy called Serge Leon. One. He's got one person watching him.
It's the one you want me to
One.
type. I said.
Siglion.
One.
Siglion. He's Canadian.
I made that. He might not be.
He's
First-
Canadian.
Hang on. What's it mean by
Listen-
premiere?
Oh, hang
No,
on,
that's
he
a
might be-
video. That's not a
No,
thing.
does that mean that it's his first ever stream?
No, I think it's a video.
Premiere.
It's a VOD.
I don't know.
It says first
a VOD?
upload. It's a VOD.
Premiere of video from.
You
is it
can
a
you
VOD?
can now premiere your shows and watch them. It's a VOD.
Ooh.
Let's not raid that guy.
No, don't.
It's not raid.
They're just
By the time we
confusing me.
pick someone, there won't be anyone to actually raid.
Roberta too is cool. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
and by the way,
he-
guys,
he
thanks
raided
everyone
me
for
on
the
that.
follows and everything else. I appreciate it. The alerts,
got-
noises aren't on, but we see them come up. So.
I got someone. I got someone.
There's a guy-
Chips Gray. There you go.
Who?
Chips.
Chips
Right.
There's a
Gray.
guy called Knives Sion. He's got sunglasses on. He looks like a little like a little goat. He looks like a kind of, I don't know.
Looting and shooting.
Looting and
That's
shooting.
Nice
Have
chat.
you seen
There
him
you
with
go.
his shades? He looks like he's wearing Brett Favre's.
It's in Discord.
Not
There you go.
Brett Favre's.
Go,
No, who's the wrestler? Who's the wrestler that had the?
go rate him.
Triple H? No.
Chips Gray's a friend of mine.
Really old. He had the glasses. He was famous for having the kind of the pink glasses. Bret Hart.
Bret Hart. That's a WWE
Hart?
wrestler. What the hell, bro?
Yeah. Hit the Hitman Hart. That was what he looked. He's got the
Okay,
Hitman
we're
Hart
going to
glasses
raid
going
Chips
on.
Gray.
Yes.
Recommended by Raydon. Everybody jump on, go and say hello, go and let them know that it's an Asylum raid. From this
Chips
wonderful
Gray's a very good
podcast that
friend.
you've been
Just
Right,
watching
that's
for
a
ages.
StarCitizen streamer.
I hope so.
No, he's
Is it,
not.
man?
No.
From my age.
What's he playing right
Oh,
now?
okay.
He's playing Insurgency right now.
You just sent me to
British
someone that's not Star Citizen. Okay, well, don't bother then. Follow it, whatever. That was a wasted raid.
Oh, God.
Goodbye,
Sorry.
everybody.
Podcast is too long.
You gave me less than 2 minutes to find someone.
You're meant to be a Star Citizen freaking streamer.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
I'll go. You want me to go and hunt Twitch?
Go and take them off him.
Are we not live anymore? Are we raiding?
We're raiding someone.
Just raided someone from a game that's got has no idea who we are.
Never played. He's got no idea. No one's going to want to watch it. Or
Everyone's
want to
gonna watch
foul.
him. Everyone's gonna leave. Can't believe.
What a foul.
Already.
Does he even play StarCitizen at all?